It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. Aunt Pruitt is here. Stacy has the week off. But hey, Jason Howell from All About Android joins us. And there is stuff to talk about. What's Google going to look like when employees return from home? And what's this with that privacy robot? That is very weird. More staff departures at Stadia. How much longer can it stick around? Will Chromebooks be at the big Google I/O announcement? How about a new Pixel phone? There's some interesting rumors. That and a whole lot more, plus the Facebook decision on the Trump ban. The Oversight Board has finally come in with an interesting choice. It's all coming up next on This Week in Google.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 610, recorded Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Honey, I Shrunk the Carters. This Week in Google is brought to you by Melissa. Like expired milk, 30% of your customers' data goes bad every year, and that is money down the drain. Visit Melissa's developer portal for free access to data quality APIs, demos, and code samples. Freshen up your sour data today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. And by Nareva. Getting your audio ready for meetings back in the office, Nareva Audio is designed for distancing. It automatically adapts to new room configurations, so you're ready for the new normal and whatever comes next. Learn more at nareva.com/twit. And by CacheFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CacheFly's CDN and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cachefly.com. It's time for Twig This Week in Google.
What time is it? What time is it? Can you tell us what time it is?
2:41:32. I said
How?
so.
Wow. It
Jeff-
is, in fact, time for This Week in Google.
Jeff Jarvis is of the opinion that I should not have spent so long setting up my clock.
No. It was very enjoyable.
No, it wasn't.
Very enjoyable.
It did come in a box that said
music.
Fragile. So it was good. Jeff is the Leonard Tow Professor for Journalistic Innovation and crankiness at the Craig Newmark Graduate School. Craig
Good job.
Newmark
I'm an
Graduate
old
School of
fart.
Journalism at the City University of New York. New York. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Google shareholder.
That's it. That's true. Yes.
Okay. I guess, in my mutual funds, there's probably some Google in it, but I don't know.
Oh, God, yeah. We got all the mutual
yeah.
funds.
But I also have probably competitors, so I feel like it's not going to bias my
I've
opinion.
got that, too. Yeah.
Also with us, Mr. Aunt Pruitt from Hands On Photography. Hello, Aunt. What are you doing? Did the clock set up put you to sleep? Yes.
I had a dream that it sounded like somebody said we all got a little Google in us.
We all got a little Google in us. Yes, we do. You know that. You know that.
How you be, sir?
I am well. How are you? Somebody was telling me,
As always.
Mary Jo Foley earlier on Windows Weekly. It seems like hours ago now.
It is hours ago now.
Was because I don't know if you've seen her picture on the Petri site, but apparently you took it and she loves it.
Oh yeah,
and she said Aunt is so good. He's kind of subtle and he sneaks around. And so it's good. It's really good.
As a good photographer should.
Yeah. Here's the MJ Foley chat. Let's see if I could find the picture.
It's on her Twitter profile too.
Is it? Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was so honored when she changed it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I actually wasn't sure, so I said, "Have you paid him for that?" Here it is. Here's the picture. She said it was great because she just captured me. This was when she was in our studio, and she captured me beautifully. So
It's really nice.
And
Yeah,
that was
isn't
with
that
the
great?
Canon
That's her.
RP, EOS RP, I believe was the camera that I used. The
did you give it to her?
quote unquote lower end mirrorless camera?
Yeah, there's no lower end. Did you shoot it in black and white, or did they do it later that way?
She did it later because I sent it to her in color.
Nice.
It's
Well,
on
I'm
the
sure
Twitter profile. It's in color.
Oh, nice. Anyway, Ant's a great
Thank you.
photographer. Hands On Photography is the show where you can catch all his tips. Also, we welcome, normally Stacey Higginbotham would be here. She has the day off. So we thought we'd bring in our producer, Jason Howell, also the host of All About Android and Man About Town, Tech News Weekly. It's great to have you. Thank you, Jason.
So he's
Thank
a host,
you.
he's a producer,
Always a lot
he's
of
going to
fun.
go get your sushi. He just does everything. Everything.
Do everything at this point.
Everything.
Yes.
We've kind
Except pay the bills.
we kind of stripped down to just a handful of people. So we all do more than we used to. That's all I can say. Except for me. I don't do anything. I just hang out.
Can I ask a question real quick before we jump in?
Yes.
What is the genesis behind singing Craig Newmark?
Jeff, do you want to explain that?
I'm not even sure I remember. I think it was just that was the important part.
Yeah, you
We did
told
the
us.
whole joke of the.
You
the
told
world's
us that
longest
Craig
photographer.
Newmark, the founder of Craigslist and still owner. I mean, there's only about 8 people work there.
And an amazing philanthropist.
He's done very well, so
he
he's
is,
got
indeed.
lots of money to give away. Endowed the Graduate School of Journalism, so it's now called the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. And I think that's at CUNY. And I think the joke was that he really liked it to us to emphasize Craig Newmark, and so it started Craig Newmark, and it got more and more. Eventually, we started singing it. That's the origin of it, I guess.
We need to rehearse 3-part harmony. We haven't.
Well,
done
you
that yet.
can't do it very
Yeah,
well in
difficult to do on
with
Zoom.
With latency.
So what I've done is I've paused and I wait till they start singing and then I sing.
That's the way
We
to
could
do
do
it.
Craig Newmark.
Newmark.
But then we would sound like the Three Stooges.
Well,
Well, it's fitting.
Well, we kind of are.
Four Stooges.
It's
Four
fitting.
Stooges. Did you see I just love this New York Times article. I've talked about it a couple of times. I apologize if you watch all of our shows. Google's plan for the future of work. This is
a
as
great
people
story.
come back to the Googleplex or Google campuses all over the world. It was in the New York Times, but the best way to read it is on the website, online, because they've created a bunch of animated GIFs to demonstrate it. So this is the pod that they're creating. See, there's somebody finally bought this Google big screen. Remember this? They promoted this
We have
rolling
one at
screen.
school.
You have one. Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're doing avatars kind of like we do avatars in their meetings and stuff. So the idea is
Jamboard. It was a Jamboard.
Jamboard. That's
I was
it.
like,
Now
what
this
is it? A whiteboard?
This is just
The
a
company
regular
is worth billions, and you sit on uncomfortable plywood.
plywood. Plywood. Well, and maybe
That's
these
the
are
hippy
simplicity.
dippy way, though.
these might be
Yeah, it's-
prototypes. I don't know.
So does that camera
Simplicity.
in the middle swing around?
Oh, that's a good question. Or is it a
360
360?
or-
Maybe.
I wonder.
Yeah, it's the
Oh.
Google magic. And I love how they made the tube that hides the wires clear, so it doesn't hide the wires.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something. Oh yeah, I've just spent the last 3 hours watching you.
Oh,
work with
shut
tubes and
up,
wires.
Jeff. Maybe you prefer this. This is their campsites on the Mountain View campus because this is in Northern California. Weather's
This
pretty
is
nice.
exactly, Jason. This is just exactly like out of I/O, isn't it? And they just repurpose
Yeah,
I/O.
yeah, it really is very reminiscent. Actually, you're right.
That's good stuff, though.
The press area, especially.
And
Yeah.
the Adirondack chairs. Also, you could make them, you could paint them, but no, it's Google. So we're just going to leave them raw wood the way it is.
raw.
These are, they took over some of the parking lots and turned them into little, this is Camp Charleston. They're going to do this in London, Los Angeles, Munich, New York, and Sydney as well. Each camp themed name, each meeting room has a camp themed name. Like,
So I was thinking, is there a person whose job it is to name things there? I'm the master namer. I am the Adam of Google.
I have met, they have some very good facilities people, and there are people there who are designers basically, and that's the whole. That's clearly who did this is designers. Kindling is one of them. S'mores is another. Canoe is another. Look, here's somebody waiting to do something in Canoe.
Yeah.
He looks kind of lonely.
You're close to my favorite part, though. If you scroll down a couple of more pictures,
I
you get
know.
to the
I've been
animated
saving the
GIF.
best for last.
it is the best.
The inflatable wall.
Here's the woman who does
Keep
this,
going.
by the way, Michelle
Keep going.
Kaufman.
Oh,
Here's the this is good. You want
This
this
is
chair.
cool.
This is the chair right under the tube that blows cold air.
But you can control it.
Yeah, it's to keep you safe.
Yes.
But what if you're follically challenged?
Well,
I don't
you
wanna
can
sit
control
there.
it.
it
You
may
turn it down.
It's possible it sucks, not blows. I don't know. We're just assuming.
Might.
It could be.
It zips into the lines, which is fascinating too.
Yeah.
That's how you go to your car at the end of the day.
It zips in so you can move them around. There's little zippers.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole point.
Wow. Very flexible. And then this is the one you were talking about, Jason. Now, actually, we should start at the beginning. Yeah, it's an animated.
Yeah, I don't know how you trigger it from the beginning because it's very anticlimactic when it first.
Yeah, so close your eyes, folks. So here's the deal. You're in your office and you want privacy. So you, I don't know, the button or what, you send an email and a privacy robot comes.
The robot.
In fact, at the beginning of this video, which is coming up here, you'll see it. And then it expands. It looks like it's got sticky jelly in it. It really looks like something. Alien. It looks like the invasion of body snatchers is what it looks like. It's a rainbowy cellophane. Now, by the way, I should point out, these people are moving faster than real time. So this thing is
taking a long
it's slower than setting up a Nixie clock. It's infinitely slow.
But does it all the time?
And then it inflates, and you're going to have privacy. I think
eventually
they call it the Nookie wall. I don't know why.
I could have gone and grabbed a C-stand and a backdrop.
I know, this is so. Or just, hey, how about, I got this. I got an idea. How about pulling a curtain across, like in the hospital?
This
would make me scared.
But that wouldn't be googly enough, though, right?
That's very googly.
Yeah, those options require a person to do the work, and this is meant to eliminate that person as all jobs are going away.
I love the New York Times.
How rude would it be?
Yes.
So I'm sitting there next to Jason, and then Jason suddenly just decides, Jarvis can't hear this. I'm calling the wall robot.
This is how to get smart. Might as well lower the privacy dome.
Wall balloon.
Wall balloon come.
Silence, yeah.
Jeez. Anyway, Google is getting ready for the future. Oh, this is a good one. You go in and you swipe your key card on here. See, on the left, there's a little pad. She swipes it, and everything adjusts to her. So the table's rising.
Oh, yeah.
It knows her settings. Kind of like your car might.
I was going to say cars do that now, right?
Yeah.
Again, Google's really got to work on their cable foo, though. This is just not acceptable. What is that going on there?
Room Raider would really mark them down.
Terrible.
Look,
even
some of the stuff I've seen with like Alex Lindsay's crew and Office Hours, that's amazing cable management right there.
I'm gonna be on Office Hours tomorrow, by the way.
I know. I saw the agenda.
I was told that the mic call is 6:40 a.m. my time.
Yes, sir. They're actually on. They're actually online before that. Usually they're on there about 6.
Jeez.
You can do it in your PJs, Leo.
Yeah. Notice, by the way, that the Google Max hub changes to have her content and her pictures. Watch, turn to her dog, which is really kind of neat. Yeah. And when she goes away, it changes back again. So I wouldn't mind that.
You're so soon forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the new campus they're building in Mountain View. It's that's the garden camp. We've talked about this years ago.
Oh, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Still under construction. Still.
Yeah, I feel like every year we go to Google I/O, we see like the next phase of this, and it just kind of looks the same. It's like a couple of more bubbles hanging up in the sky, but that's about it. One of these days.
Here's a team
Next year
pod.
It'll still be under construction, James.
Everything in the team pod is on casters, so it's completely movable. This must be Silicon Valley chic. All these open wires and stuff. Because remember in the Facebook headquarters, Mark said, "Don't finish anything. Just like paint dribbling down the wall. Don't finish it all. Just
that's the shtick.
That's the shtick. Yeah, makes it's what they have to do.
It does
this.
make it feel messy though.
Yeah, but this is young people.
How much
right?
does that matter?
This is for young people. They want you to feel like you're in a dorm room. And boy, it sure looks like what you're in.
That's a good perspective. I never thought about it that way. Younger people, because how many people 35 and up are signing up to work at Google these days?
They always said at Microsoft back in the day that they call it a campus and they give it a campus-like environment. Google always has with food. Your cleaning is done because. Dry cleaning, like you can drop off your dry cleaning as you arrive, because they want to attract kids out of school and they want them to feel at home. Because, obviously they're young people. Now, everything you just saw, as Scooter X has pointed out, is just a demo. But I have a feeling the demo is the final product's not going to be any more nice. In fact, I would wire the demo better than the final product, probably. But
you're not going to get any of that stuff at Basecamp. No more.
Hey, what happened at Basecamp? 20 people left. We talked about this last week. I thought it was a little gossipy to be honest. Casey Newton blew the lid off of Basecamp. Just to recap, if you didn't hear last week's show, it started because they found out that somebody had been keeping a list of, quote, funny customer names since the beginning of 37 Signals. Apparently, nobody wants to say what the names were because they were so racist and insulting. That prompted kind of a call to Jesus. There was a lot of discussion on the company's. Basecamp is, a co-working bit of software, so you have chats in there and stuff, and that got very heated. Apparently, the guy in charge of product who'd been with Basecamp since almost the beginning, since when it was 37 Signals, was conservative and would put links from Breitbart in there and stuff. And I think that actually is what happened.
That might have been a trigger.
Because, if you read Casey's latest, he was saying things like, there's no white supremacy in the United States. And then a black team member who everybody's declined to name said, well, that's not true, obviously. And they got in a bit of a fight. And anyway, they had an all-hands meeting last Friday. This is after we were talking about it last week, in which it just got completely out of hand. And Jason Fried, the CEO, said, look, if you guys want buyouts, we'll buy you out. And 20 people took it, including that designer.
So far.
That's so far.
I'm out.
Wow. That's still pretty gossipy. But I think it's not, it is relevant to kind of, workplace mores versus public mores. And this actually relates to the Google thing, because young people, I think, expect, just because this is how it was in the dorms and in college, that these discussions should be held out in the open, and if they're acrimonious, they're acrimonious. And us old types think, oh, that shouldn't happen at work. And I think there's a little bit of a collision there. That's the funny thing
about this, because this is, these are the young farts who are in charge, who decreed this. And
Jason Fried and David Hennemeyer Hansen are no longer young farts.
Well, but they're younger than I am, and you are.
Well, almost everybody is, Jeff.
and you had a third of the company signing up to
Jason's
work on
47. So depending on which end of the telescope you're looking at, that's either young or old, depending on which end of the
oldish.
So the all hands meeting led to a third of the company quitting. It's not that big a company. So you think it's the youngs that are doing this? I think Jason is considered by the staff older, as is
he's the boss.
He's the boss.
But you have that denial stage in this stuff. No. We're okay. I'm not like that. Let me tell you how I'm okay. Oh, is a problem? Okay, I'll fix it. And that's why I lived that most of my life there, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn these things.
Yeah.
And so the idea that a company could be not political is like saying technology is neutral. It's political.
Yeah.
The workplace is political.
But at the same time, you don't want these kind of bitter fights to go on in a company chat where productivity is supposed to be happening. Right.
No, we agreed with that last week, right?
Yeah.
You want to have it, but you don't want to just tamp it down and say, don't have it. It doesn't exist. That ain't going to help.
Well, I think that's what they were trying to do.
That's what they did initially.
Yeah, they were going to bring in a facilitator, they said. But it just went all to hell.
Yeah.
Singer, who was the guy who said, let me give you his exact quote. I strongly disagree. We live in a white supremacist culture. I don't believe in a lot of framing around implicit bias. I think a lot of that is actually racist. And so he said, and I've heard this is very much like the James Damore memo that circulated at Google and got Damore fired at Google. Very often, if you express a dissenting view, you get called a Nazi. I have not felt this is open territory for discussion. If we were to try to get into it as a group discussion, it would be very painful and divisive. And then Jason Fried, the CEO, responded to that message with, thank you, Ryan, which got some people upset. One employee, the black employee that shall remain nameless, said, the fact that you can be a white male and come to this meeting and call people racist and say white supremacy doesn't exist when it's blatant at this company is white privilege. The fact he wasn't corrected and was in fact thanked, it makes me sick. This is a culture. This is a company culture that is rapidly dissolving. This is not good.
But the thing is, this is a company that says we can tell all companies how to work.
Yeah, so there's some Schadenfreude here, and I think that's one of the reasons
exactly.
This is a big story. Is people going, see, it's not as easy, is it?
Exactly.
Smartasses.
Well, and I wonder how much of this actually did exist, but was very unspoken prior to all of this, right? Like, it really seems like it's hitting the fan at this point around this particular situation. But I would have a hard time believing that there weren't at least some sort of indicators prior to this that the people that are leaving weren't unsatisfied in some way related to this in different ways that weren't quite as public. And this was just like the tipping point to be like, all right, the ethics here or the ethical boundaries have been crossed. I no longer identify with this work environment. I'm out of here. Yeah. I can understand that.
You know, I have to say they've been, full disclosure, they've been a sponsor. I've interviewed both David and Jason, the founders, and I used to think a lot of 37 Signals. I think Basecamp is great software, but clearly it's running a company in these days is just as hard as any other kind of social environment that we live in. I mean, it's become so polarized and so angry that it's difficult. So I think that's what you say, right? What else can you say? By the way, Google says it's saving $1 billion a year by not making people come back to the office. They
travel.
Yeah,
I was going to say the travel budget with people going from the Midwest to or Texas or whatever over here to the Pacific Coast, that adds up.
Plus all around the world.
And I didn't notice this in their annual report. We talked about their quarterly results last week, but in their annual report, they said advertising and promotional expenses dropped by $1.4 billion in 2020. Now, here's the thing, and I'm glad Jason's here because this is going to be very interesting. Sundar Pichai, in the quarterly analyst call, said, we're ready to kick back into gear. Right, Jason?
Well, yeah, he announced some sort of significant, I don't know if it's product announcements or whatever, but he used the term significant announcements for Google I/O. And yeah, we were talking about this on All About Android last night, just trying to figure out, okay, does that mean the usual, like, oh yeah, Android 12 is pretty significant, just as one example, or does that mean this is one of those I/Os where they actually have some hardware that they consider to be a big deal, or maybe it's a deeper integration of Assistant with smart home? Like, what exactly does significant mean in light of what we've come to expect from I/O in the last couple of years? So I'm pretty curious.
Normally, I saw it as marketing speak because he could have said pretty much the same thing about Project Treble and everything else.
Right.
Back totally. In the day, so.
Yeah.
It could be light. It could not be, to him, everything's significant that Google does. But I feel like when you come out in an earnings call and you say that specifically, hopefully you're backing it up so that you don't get on the other side of this. And it's like, well, that's significant. But, they changed the colors on Android and that's about all I saw.
Or it could be IOware where it's stuff that they promised, but 2 years later, because I don't remember that. Whatever happened to that?
Some people took it to mean, well, first of all, I took it to be an admission that Google had slept through 2020, understandably, but they really didn't. They didn't do much in 2020, and that he was in effect saying, "Hey, we slept through 2020, but we are waking up and get ready because Google I/O is going to have some great stuff." And a number of people have taken that to mean that it might, in fact, be the Pixel 6 early, right? When does that come out, Jason? That would come out in October normally.
Usually that would come out in October, right? And then we're also expecting the Pixel 5a, 5G, which,
5a would not be that exciting.
No, that wouldn't be exciting, but it would be nearer to the normal time of release based on previous devices of a similar family. So, I'd be really surprised, actually, if they released the Pixel 6, or at least, but what Google does is it's not necessarily that they release it. I could totally see them. You're right. Google I/O happens. Here's the Pixel 6. We're beating all of the leaks. Here's everything you need to know about it. And it comes out in 3 months.
Well,
what about what Google does lately?
What about a watch, Mr. Howell?
No, that's
after
what
we
saw. Nobody's going to be excited about that.
Well, I mean,
I'll tell you, I
was excited about the OnePlus watch and that price point that it had, and it totally bombed, according to Mr. Howell and everyone else that got their hands on it. I would like to see a watch, and I would like to see what they offer up, as Mr. Jarvis mentions there, is a Pixelbook.
Here's what I think.
Yes.
I think, first of all, we know the Pixel 6 is going to have Google-designed chips. Already.
Okay. Yeah.
Already big deal, right?
So things they can do with that'll amaze.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that they did coast last year, and that gave them time to, in sports, they call it a rebuilding year.
Yep.
And I think last year was the rebuilding year for Google. And that gave them the time to really rethink what they want to do with the Pixel. The strategy's been all over the map. It first came out, it was a low-cost developer phone. Then it got to be a flagship phone. Then last year was a ho-hum flagship phone. They didn't update the camera. They didn't do anything. Here's my guess. They're going to announce and ship a Pixel 6 with all new Google Silicon at Google I/O in a week.
It's going to do local AI stuff.
It's going to do all that. It's going to have a much better camera. There's still, the Pixel 5 didn't have anything different than the Pixel 4.
Yeah. Correct.
They're going to have a much better camera. I think there's going to be, the way Pichai said that, to me, sounded like stand back. It's the same thing when Apple said spring-loaded is going to be our event. I mean, it was loaded. It had more stuff than anybody imagined.
Delivered.
I feel like Google, and I also feel like they need to do this.
They need it, yeah.
They need a whip crack, wake-up call. We're back to work. We took this year. We did a rebuilding year. You won't believe what we've been doing. So maybe a watch.
Forget about hardware for a second. At a strategic level, because they keep on saying we're AI, we're AI, we're AI. What could they do from a larger product perspective that would be wowie?
If it's AI, first start by keeping some of your best staff on that team.
Yeah, they fired, of course, 2 people from their AI ethics commission, and as a result, one of their best people left. He's now going to Apple.
Apple, right?
Yeah.
So what can you do with unethical AI?
We're finding that out every single day, Jeff.
You can make a lot of news with that.
We're new frontiers of evil AI, man. You wanted it, and here it is.
Apple said on Monday it hired former distinguished Google scientist. That's a very high-level guy, Sami Bengio, who left the search giant amid turmoil in its AI research department. He's expected to lead a new AI research unit at Apple under another former Googler, John Giandrea. He joined Apple after spending about 8 years in Google a couple of years ago. So Apple's building this big AI team. And Google's, this is the blowback from that really poorly handled AI ethics firings.
Yeah, indeed.
Don't get me wrong. I root for Google on this, considering I'm in the Google ecosystem. So being able to have some AI that's going to make day-to-day life better for me is in my best interest. But they still got to get their crap together in their own house. You know what I mean?
I agree.
In a lot of ways. Yeah,
that's why I think it's so important that May 18th, and by the way, we will be covering that. That's a week from Tuesday. And we'll be doing, Jason and I will be doing the coverage of the keynote, which starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll be streaming that probably, they say 2 hours, right, Jason?
Yeah, I would be surprised if it was any less than that, but probably about 2 hours.
Yeah.
What you're saying about circling back to the hardware, the potential of a Pixel 6 release at Google I/O, I would be thrilled if that happened. Like I'd feel like Sundar Pichai is delivering if he made that happen. If he truly showed that Google spent the last year in like an introspective state and said, what should we do to actually be taken seriously in the hardware game? I think that would be great. What makes me believe that it's not going to happen is Google is horrible about keeping secrets. And I feel like at this point, this close to Google I/O, if that was going to happen, we'd have at least some semblance of information about the Pixel 6, whatever it is. I mean, we know about the Whitechapel chip, but we don't really have a whole lot of the kinds of leaks that we're used to seeing leading up to a Google release, which year after year show us Google just does not know how to keep a lid on this stuff. I feel like we'd see it by now, but maybe I'm wrong. And I would love to be wrong, because that would mean that they're learning lessons, and I want to see that from Google.
Well, you know what? Maybe because they're not in the same place, it's harder to leak.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I still argue that they were leaking it themselves to those people.
Well, of course, there's probably part of that too.
Because you know what? You're right, Aaron. With Google, all the Android stuff wasn't that exciting anyway.
Nope.
They might as well have leaked it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a question for y'all. With this being a Google engineered piece of silicon that's going to be in place, do you think any of the masses care? Because even with Apple doing the M1 and just how powerful it's been inside of its laptops and whatnot, people still seem to just worry more so about the cachet of the iPhone. So do you think any of this matters? Will Google be able to take away some of the market share from the folks at Samsung with their new developments? Because I think only people that are going to care are the nerds and geeks.
Yeah.
So Samsung is promising. I agree with that. I agree. Samsung promises, it's the laptop that's like the phone. So you love the phone, and everything you do on the phone, you can do on the laptop, and it'll handle your home, and it'll handle all this other stuff. Google has never really done a good job with this ecosystem. Right? The home stuff, all that, right?
I like the home. I disagree. I think the Google Nest Home Hub Pod Next Max.
Get the name right, sir.
Hangout.
Okay, they're not good at names, but that thing is pretty good. The screen thing, the Google Nest Hub Max and the Google Nest Hub, they're good. Okay. I think that they've done pretty well with the Google Assistant in these various devices, right? I mean, Amazon is the king of the hill, but I think Google's a strong second, and there's no third. I can't think of Siri as being third. They acquired Fitbit, which would lend some credence, Ant, to your idea that maybe they'll do a fitness watch of some kind.
I would love to see that.
They seems like they abandoned Android Wear. They're not. I mean, Fossil's doing more with Android Wear than they are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most everybody seems to have abandoned Android Wear except for fashion brands. But I mean, just a hint of what to look forward to at Google I/O, a couple of events that are streaming from I/O, and notably they are listed as showing off Wear and not Wear OS. So some people are wondering if that's pointing to, kind of tying back into what you're talking about, Ant. We've heard a lot of rumors about a Pixel Watch. We've seen leaked photos on that. Like that's a product that has been fully leaked in a number of different ways, and we're just kind of like waiting for that to eventually happen. If they're going
such a ho-hum device, they just they're completely owned in this market.
Totally agree. It would be hard for them to come out with a wearable that gets everybody excited, especially
it'll have Nixie tubes in it. I'm telling you, the Google Watch will have Nixie tubes. That would actually win the
probably
day.
Sell better than an Android Wear watch, I have to say.
Yeah.
Probably would sell better. The Nest Hub did show up at the Bluetooth SIG running Fuchsia.
Yeah,
so that's interesting. That's the operating system Google's been working on. They've open sourced it. No, they've never really said exactly what Fuchsia is intended to do. I mean, it's been a long time since we had a new operating
all right,
system.
Could that be the announcement? Could they say we're replacing Android and Chrome, the new OS?
What Nest Hub uses Chrome OS, I think, right? I believe that's
not sure.
At least the initial ones did. I don't know if they stopped. That was a bit of a surprise that they didn't use Android. They use Chrome OS. Fuchsia might be an interesting play here. Apparently,
we've been wondering what the heck's going to happen with Fuchsia. I mean, and they've been putting out those little nuggets here and there. If they were to come out at Google I/O, the thing with Fuchsia though is that I don't understand how deep that actually goes. I think this is interesting news. At the same time, this is Fuchsia 1.0 as the operating system, on this listing is being attached to a piece of hardware that's 2 years old. I don't understand what that means. Maybe that's like a placeholder for something else. I can't wrap my head around what it means that they're doing that on a device that's been out for a couple of years. But I'm very curious to see what Fuchsia actually is leading to, and if they can come out at Google I/O and say, all right, you guys have had an insane amount of questions, and rightfully so. Here's what we're doing. You know, all of your Nest products, or I don't know what their announcement would be, but at least there's some excitement there because it's been building towards something with this Fuchsia OS that nobody understands at this point.
Well, I know it's going to be big because they have their own Twitter hashtag now. So that means it's pretty darn serious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. It's a little, I don't know what that is.
It's about time.
It's a custom hashtag icon. You know you've made it on Twitter when you have a custom hashtag icon.
Yeah.
This is going to be really, really interesting, Jason. When we're sitting here, it's possible that we'll go, oh my God, Google's got their mojo back. And they are firing on all cylinders. I honestly think it's much more likely we'll say, well, wasn't that special?
Okie dokie then. Moving on. Yeah, I know. And it's kind of like at this point I've been conditioned into that position. Maybe that's I want the excitement back again. Yeah, it's kind of we're beat up by being let down.
Remember going to Google I/O and it was exciting and there was new stuff and you expected new interesting innovations. You know, part of the problem is they showed things like that simultaneously translation with the Pixel Buds that was so cool, or the making the reservations at a Chinese restaurant that was so cool, and then never delivered on it.
Yeah, or removing the fence from the picture. Right. Remember the automatic removal of the the chain link fence? That never happened.
Instead of doing that, they removed the head of photography and he went to Adobe. So
sure did.
There's been a brain drain. There's been a bit of a brain drain, frankly.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a bad sign too. When you see people leaving, that usually means they don't see a strong future in their field at that company.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the Pixel Buds. I should mention these Pixel Bud A series devices that you've talked about on this show in weeks past. Google messed up on the @Android Twitter account. They posted a promotional image for it, like a big announcement, touting its fast pairing capabilities, and then removed it 10 minutes later. So maybe that's the significant announcement, Jeff.
Oh, geez. We finally have Pixel Buds that work.
They paired
now. Out the fireworks.
We didn't say they played, but they paired.
Yeah, they pair. Exactly. That's all we promise.
I really wasn't.
Isn't that the one there? You lose the only great thing about them, right? Which is the UI.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, Jeff, but there's also a rumor they're going to put Fuchsia on the Pixel books. Which is not going to make you happy at all.
No, it may be fine. Maybe better. I live La Vida Google. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, really, all the operating system on a Pixel book is, unless you're using as a Linux platform or something, is just a holder for the Chrome, which is where everything, the Chrome browser is the whole thing, really, right? It's funny because then there's this headline on The Information, which is very well connected. As good reporters at booming Google, search chief gives more love to product managers. This is, like Google's about to take off. They also broke the story that the Stadia chief of Stadia is leaving.
What's Stadia?
Stadia was? What is that? Is that a thing where I think it's a PA
is that where they hold an I/O
games? Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. 6 additional staff leave Stadia to join Haven Studios. Jade Raymond was, of course, a big hire at Stadia. Then when she left, a number of people followed her to Haven Studios, which is what she founded after she left Stadia. So you can't look at Stadia and think anything except that it's over. I mean, it's over.
I mean, the writing feels like it's on the wall. I don't know what the end game is for Stadia, except the fact that bad news keeps pouring out about it. And then the unfortunate thing is, it's all confirms the bad feelings that people had when Stadia was announced. It was cool technology, really very ambitious. But yet people immediately jumped onto and this is going to fail like all other cool Google things, because Google's either going to get bored or they're going to mess it up, whatever. And it's like history has proven itself again with Stadia. I don't know what the future holds for Stadia at this point.
All right, let's take a little break. We're going to end the Google gloom and doom report and give you some good news.
Yeah.
As soon as I can find it. Our show today, Jason Alf, it's great to have you filling in for Stacey Higginbotham. Jason, of course, has been covering Google for years as the host of All About Android, so he is very much in the know on all this stuff.
Thank you. It's fun.
Nice to have you. Aunt Pruitt, of course, and Jeff Jarvis as well. Our show today brought to you by Melissa. If you've ever forgotten to check the date on a carton of milk, you know how bad that can be. You pour that in your Wheaties and whew. Well, like milk, your customer data goes bad. In fact, about 30% of customer data goes bad every year. Melissa is the address expert. They make sure your data is accurate and current so you reach the right customers. Their tools have helped businesses maintain fresh data. They're in their fourth decade for over 35 years. That's why over 10,000 businesses trust the address experts. You can verify addresses, emails, phone numbers, even names in real time with Melissa. Melissa's global address verification service verifies addresses for 240 plus countries and territories at the point of entry. You can validate existing customer data, find new customers. You can dedupe too. If you're mailing multiple catalogs to the same address, that's just costing you money for no good reason. With Melissa's data matching, you can eliminate clutter, duplicates, increase the accuracy of the database, reduce postage and mailing costs too. Get the information that completes your customer profiles better and more thoroughly. Add consumer demographic information to your records, public information like property data, marital status, social media handles. That makes your customer list even more valuable to you. And you can use Melissa any way you want. Whatever platform suits you. They've got on-prem. You can use Melissa as a web service. They have FTP processing. You can securely upload a list, get it cleaned, and download it again seconds later. There's software as a service, and they have an API, which actually a lot of people use to include address verification in their tools, like customer support tools and data entry tools. The worst thing, you get a new customer, they fat finger the address, they get it wrong, now you can't get back in touch with them. That's no good. Melissa continually by the way, your data is absolutely private. Melissa continually undergoes independent security audits to reinforce their commitment to data security, privacy, and compliance requirements. They're SOC 2 compliant, HIPAA as well, and GDPR compliant. In fact, Melissa, good job, just named a leader in address verification by G2 Crowd in their spring 2021 report. Well done. Nice job, Melissa. Melissa is also supporting communities and qualifying essential workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. See if your organization qualifies for 6 months of free service. You can apply online, melissa.com. Don't put up with sour customer data. You wouldn't want sour milk in your Wheaties, would you? You don't want sour customer data in your customer list. Try Melissa's APIs in the developer portal. It's easy to log on, sign up, and start playing in the API sandbox right now, 24/7. Get started today. You'll get 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. That's Melissa, MELISSA, melissa.com/twit. Fresh data is as easy as 1, 2, 3. melissa.com/twit. Thank you, Melissa, for supporting This Week in Google. Thank you for supporting us by using that address, melissa.com/TWIT. All right? Melissa. Thanks also to our friends in our Discord chat and our Club Twit. It's going great guns. I haven't looked at the membership numbers lately, but it's been growing very nicely. Thank you. A lot of people showing their support for what we're doing. It's a big help. You get some benefits, too, if you want to join Club Twit. All you have to do is go to twit.tv/clubtwit. $7 a month gets you ad-free versions of every show. We don't even put this ad for the club in the feed. Nothing. Ad-free. You get feeds that are just for you, for your podcast client. But you also have this great Discord. We really have fun inside our Discord. And, of course, during my live shows, we automatically start up a stage. Jeff's in there. In fact, if you have questions or comments or suggestions, just raise your hand and the stage will bring you on the show. There's also sections about every topic known to man. All the shows have sections, but also I'll go through the list in alphabetical order. Anime, autos, books, coding, comics, data science, food, gaming, hacking, hardware, IoT, Linux. Lisa has her own channel in there. People can ask about the business, movies, philosophy, There's lots.
Let's play.
Let's play.
Yeah.
This morning,
jump in and let me beat you in poker.
You know, how did that poker go on Friday? Was it fun?
No, we had a lot of fun. Mr. Nielsen and I and several of the members just hanging out and just talking tech and random stuff and letting me take all their chips.
Who has the best poker face?
Of course, that would be me.
Yeah, you can tell. Look at him. Look at him. You don't know what's going on behind
those eyes. That's a good hand. It's a good hand.
That is good. Wow, look at that.
Oh, good. We blinked.
And I've been playing some Valheim in there. We're getting that set up for later this week. I'm going to do a
well done, Ed. Well done.
Play along. Yeah, you're very good. I do that. I do that when I'm playing Valheim, except that my face looks like this. So, you can kind of tell what I'm thinking. A troll, run! We're getting close to a countdown T minus 2:58, 2 minutes and 58 seconds for a Starship. This is a flight test into. Is this their deep space flight test, John? Same. 5 miles up, 5 miles down. It's the hard thing is the landing. Have they landed without blowing up yet?
Chat room says
they landed and then they blew up. So that's kind of still blowing up. The good news is there's no atmosphere really to be spoken of on the moon. So you won't blow up from go ahead and show this shot. This is what I love about this. The space Starship is this is this Elon Musk SpaceX Starship. It's going to NASA did a deal with them to actually take people to the moon. What I love about it is how it looks like a 1950s rocket ship, like from a sci-fi movie. And when they land on the moon, they're going to land like those rocket ships in a sci-fi movie. That's why they're practicing those landings.
There's no gantry around it. It's just sitting like on the moon. There's not going to be a gantry. It's going to land like that on the moon.
It goes up, it goes down. Yeah, that's it. NASA did apparently it was the low-cost leader. NASA turned down Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin, and I think was it Boeing that had a bid because they were so expensive. One of the things that's really great about these tests is they have, Elon's smart. He puts good cameras on there. John, show the rocket. Did we crash again? There you go. Show the engines. So you really get a good view of that launch right before it blows up. I mean, not the launch, the camera, because the camera's right there and next to the engines. And the separation's been good. There's people out there looking at it, watching. I would love to go down. Is this in Florida? Where is he launching it?
Yeah, it's launched.
Texas.
From what?
It's launched?
That's what folks in chat are saying. It launched.
Scooter X said.
We're really way lagged. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that feed that you're seeing is
about
the
SpaceX
off. Feed froze. You can launch rockets, but the internet, you can't predict.
You want to talk about streaming? That's another problem.
That's another problem. Entirely. Boca Chica, Texas. The day the Earth stood still. Yeah, boy, that feed is awful. You know what? I think that probably means a lot of people are watching it, right? There's a lot of interest in this. People are very interested in space. Yeah, somehow we went backwards in the countdown, so I know we're not watching this in real time. That's how you know. It's already...
Elon Musk froze
Oh, this is T+? It's already... So that's... Oh, that's in... I see. It's frozen, but it's up in space.
Yeah, that's
or not space. It's in the air. Yeah.
Right in the air.
That is not... that shot is not doing nothing. Okay. All right.
That's hilarious.
They need one of my... they need a Nixie clock, I think, for the countdown. It went from 2:59 to 1 o'clock. The clock did.
Alcohol.
I didn't rub it with enough alcohol. Apparently, is it now at the one? As it says, it's 1 o'clock.
PS Chop says it's awfully low res.
Oh, shut up! I think he's talking about the NASA thing.
No, he's talking about the video.
Oh, is it coming back already? Is it coming down already? No.
I saw flames. Yeah, that's pretty quick, right? I would love to see the landing if we can get... Boy, that's terrible video.
Yeah, it's awful.
Nice.
Well, they put the money elsewhere. It'll do.
Well, it's actually really important. Yeah, I'm sorry about the clock. It went backwards, didn't it? It's me. It's my fault. I set it weird. I have to get back in. I haven't done any setting on the clock.
We're going to relive the last hour.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Right about now, I was carefully wiping the tubes with alcohol. Would you like to go back? Oh, here it goes. Here we go. A little bit better video.
Yeah.
Is it going down or up? Which direction? Can we tell? Is that the horizon? It's leveled off. Yeah. All right.
That planet sure looked flat to me.
Wait a minute. It's curved? Wait a minute. Apparently, but speaking of the new Pixel phone, there is a rumor that it will have UWB in it. This is something that Apple's made a lot of hay with on the AirTags. The next Pixel phone could hop on the ultra wide bandwagon along with Samsung and Apple. Samsung is already using it. It's really a cool way to do a lot of things. You can aim at things. You can find things. Samsung has their smart tags. Apple has
We're about to land
their
here, guys.
AirTags. Oh, let's watch. It's going down.
Let's
There
see.
we
Get ready for
go.
the explosion.
Stop it, Jeff.
Come on.
Oh boy, that's
You got it.
Is that? Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Boca Chica's got a
Could
lot
be
of
about 5
lot of
minutes
fog.
before we know.
Yeah. Holy cow!
Landed.
No, there it
I would say
is.
that's not good.
Woo! It landed. Looks pretty
There we
good.
go.
Now,
Outstanding.
remember the last time there was a small leak that eventually caught fire, but this looks pretty stable.
Awesome.
That's important because that's what it needs to do on the moon, right? And of course, take off again afterwards.
Right.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, UWB, back to the UWB story. From my understanding, Michelle Rahman from XDA was the person who got the kind of information from a source. 9 to 5 Google confirmed it. It was specific to UDB, or sorry, ultra wide, UWB, an API being created. And so they were positing, does this mean that the next Pixel would have support for ultra wide?
Oh, interesting.
So
there's
I don't
not
know
really
if it
a lot of
necessarily
information then.
I don't know that it necessarily means that the Pixel 6 is going to have that support, but it definitely means that Google is working on building the support into Android, probably in a similar way to what they did with foldables, where everybody was kind of doing their own thing with foldables. And then finally Google was like, hey, we're going to make an official API to support these multiple displays, and so that everybody's on the same page. So it could at the least be that for Android. And at the most, who knows, maybe the Pixel 6 will actually have support for it too, which would be good. It would be current. You know,
here's an argument for there being a new Pixel book, Jeff. Chromebooks dominate. That's a strong word. Dominate the global PC market. 275% growth. I have to think this the pandemic has something to do with that. And HP is currently
tax
number
returns.
1. Yeah, sure. Look at the look at that graph. So this gray line is, and it started at Q3, the big growth, Q3 to Q4.
So what we care about is connectivity in the web. This is the connected age. It's not the software age.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's clear. You know, even companies like Microsoft are starting to look at, basically running the operating system in the cloud.
That's why I wonder whether. I mean, it is. I'm not saying it's fuchsia, but I think that there's a moment here for some leaps in OS. We haven't been there in a while. I don't know what it would be.
Just make it work. That's
only
the main thing.
Chrome does. Chrome
works.
does.
It's very reliable.
Light.
Yeah, you'll get it.
I don't know. I have my moments with it, especially from a resources perspective.
Well, you're trying to run a rocket ship on a Hyundai. I know.
Not a rocket ship, just a tank.
The only negative on this is if you look at the top sellers of Chromebooks, HP, Lenovo, Acer, Samsung, Dell, and others, I don't see the word Google in there at all.
Well, because they haven't had a new one in
Shocking.
really,
and
4 years.
Yeah, the Pixelbook Go, that was a couple of years ago.
That doesn't count. That was a
It counts.
enough.
It's a Chromebook.
It was their Chromebook.
You want a high-end Chromebook.
yeah.
Mr. Jarvis, if it
Samsung.
makes you feel any better, Queen Pruitt's laptop was just totally on the fritz. And
You
I
gave
said,
her.
don't you don't need a laptop. Just go get a Chromebook. And so she did just go out.
And is she happy?
And she is happy because it allows her access to the web just to do simple stuff on the web. She doesn't need to do a whole bunch of computing stuff. Just connect to the web, use Google Docs. She's trying to run things with her Plantastic potheads, and that Chromebook is totally fine. And it was under $300.
There you go. You see?
That's how you use Lightroom.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect for that. All right, when we come back.
I wonder if you look at what's happening with Android and how they put more computing locally on the phone, whether without having to get into the whole mess with Windows and Apple of installing software and stuff, could you put more stuff locally onto a laptop to handle finally photos and videos? The real thing missing here is photos and videos. Once you get that solved, the Chrome, there's no reason, I would argue, unless you're programming, unless you're doing specialized things, for 99% of what you need, the Chromebook's going to be fine.
Yep, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. And when you say photos and videos, what are you meaning? Like a photo and video manipulation, or just photos?
Yeah, you really can't edit video.
Yeah.
I would love to have our students switch to Chromebook. It'd be a lot cheaper for them. It'd be great, and they could for everything except doing.
You can do retouching, but you're not going to do really hardcore editing on photos. But
well, and I blame Google for this because if you really wanted to support the Pixelbook, you'd make Google Photos have better editing tools.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they did that, I think that then you could point to that and say, look, they'll store unlimited, well, not unlimited anymore.
No.
Almost, they'll store a lot of photos up there in the cloud, and they give you editing tools. They do all the other good stuff that Google Photos does. That's all they have to do.
Are making an effort with it.
They're trying.
So, they just recently added those sharpening and denoising tools.
Right.
Those are pretty significant
Someday
tools.
They'll get rid of fences,
post-processing. Remove fences.
So I haven't really used the editor that much. Have you used it at all, Ant? Is it decent?
I use it off and on the phone for quick hitter stuff to put out on Instagram stories, something like that. But that's about it.
Yeah.
How's
that kind of strikes me as the use case for the editing
because
tools
you've got
Google
professional
Photos anyways.
Tools.
That's what you're going to exactly. If you care if you care enough, you're going to jump into the Lightrooms and that sort of thing to do it. I don't know that Google's necessarily positioning Google.
Well, I think those aren't people buying Chromebooks either,
right? But the people that are buying Chromebooks should still have some decent tools, though. I mean, they shouldn't be left.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's up to Google. So they have filters. I mean, I'm playing with these filters. That's kind of fun. But where's the rest of the editing? Is there any more editing anywhere?
It was under that menu over to the right.
Here it says this, and then
right there.
This menu?
Right there in the center. There used to be a lot of different.
Not a lot.
There used to be more. You hit the little drop downs.
There you go.
Okay. So
you got more.
This is a lot of what you could do
in Lightroom.
I mean, not, it's pretty basic.
Is there something to be said for the quality of these particular adjustments in a program like Lightroom versus what Google is offering in the cloud? Like you as like someone who's very familiar with that, Ant, would know the difference. That panel right there is very comparable to the free version of Lightroom.
Yeah,
it's very comparable.
In some ways, it's got more AI capability. I like that skin tone.
Yeah,
it's fun. Pop needs more than just.
You bring up Pop? That's like the go-to editing option of Queen Pruitt. She loves to pop her images up, and the first thing she looks for is Pop, and then she goes to social media because it does look pretty good with most of the things that she shoots.
And the filters, if you're used to Instagram or any photo app on your phone, this is very much something like you're used to. So. Auto does the best job. That's actually a pretty good job with the auto.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a little break and come back with more of the action. So it looks like SpaceX Starship landed and hasn't blown up yet.
Standing?
Still standing. So that's very successful.
I don't want to jinx it. That was the thing.
Yeah. No, I don't want to jinx it either. I want to succeed.
You lower the expectations.
Right.
Increase the results.
Right.
It's going to blow up. No, it doesn't. Hey, that would have happened.
Blow up.
Blow up.
Our show today brought to you by Nareva. You know, people are coming back. The offices are starting to fill, but people are still nervous, and rightly so, and they want to be careful, and you want to social distance. It's going to change. Distance is really going to change meeting room audio as people come back, and may require changes in room configurations. And that means usually terrible sound, right? No, not if you're using Nareva. Nareva gives you great mic coverage even when people are socially distanced in a meeting space. It's not beamforming. Beamforming systems need adjustments, usually by an expensive technician. You might have a tabletop kind of system right now, but you know, there's one in the middle. You're going to need multiple mics, and then each one has to be sanitized between meetings. You may have to change how you behave in a meeting, sit in a predetermined spot, face in a particular direction. None of that's good. You want Nareva. What if there were a better way to get clear, reliable audio, let your team act naturally, and still feel safe? One analyst called Nareva Audio the first socially distanced mic system. And it all comes down to a patented technology only Nareva can do. They call it microphone mist. 4 patents. It actually, in effect, fills the room with thousands of virtual microphones, and the audio automatically adapts to any configuration. The HDL300 system, they have a variety of them. The HDL300 is the first microphone and speaker bar to be certified for large meeting spaces up to 15 feet by 28 feet. That's huge. But you still get true full room coverage. People could be heard from anywhere in the room. Doesn't matter where they're sitting. Doesn't even matter where they're facing or how they're distanced. It's kind of magical. And you don't need to bring in technicians. You can install each microphone and speaker bar on the wall by yourself. It's easy. And then you've got the Nareva console, which puts device management into your hands and on your terms. You can adjust settings, install firmware updates, check device status, and more, all from a secure cloud-based platform. Console comes with every single Nareva audio system. And it's kind of a little bonus. When you enroll your system, you'll receive an extra year of warranty, absolutely free. Nareva products, people rave about them. They've won many awards, including top new technology at ISE 2020 for the HDL200 system. But no matter what size your room is, they have a full line of systems to fit your needs, from small to medium to large spaces. You know where people are using Nareva. You can kind of tell because the sound is great, even though people are spread all out around the room. HubSpot uses it. Jimmy Yan, who's their principal collaboration engineer, says, quote, "We were so impressed with the sound quality, the ease of install, and the ease of use of our HDL300, it was a no-brainer for us to adopt it." To learn more how Nareva Audio is the simple and cost-effective way to let your teams distance in meetings and still act and converse naturally, visit Nareva.com/twit, N-U-R-E-V-A, N-U-R-E-V-A, Nareva.com/twit. And you know what? Even after the pandemic, you're going to be very glad you'd have an Nareva system in there. Great audio, no matter how people sit, no matter how people face. That's worth its weight in gold. Nareva. Thank you, Nareva, for supporting This Week in Google. Thank you for supporting it by going to Nareva.com/twit. Should we do I wish I could get Jason to do the Google changelog. That's my goal in life, Jason.
Too bad he's not on the show today.
Oh, rats. Actually, before we do that, you did put this article in here that I've got to know more about. Mr. Beast.
You know what?
Who is Mr.
I didn't
Beast?
actually didn't put that in there.
Jason can explain it.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I'll do my best to explain it. Basically, you know, Taylor Lorenz, she's awesome. New York Times, she does such a good job of writing about just everything that's going on in the social world, and especially, you know, TikTok and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. She did kind of a feature on a YouTube star who you may or may not have heard of called Mr. Beast. And I just saw, Jeff, that you put it in there. I'm like, oh, yeah, I've seen so many of his videos because of my kids. His whole shtick, and basically he's like one of the most popular YouTubers at this point. I love how that like top spot is so fluid. You know, a couple of years ago it was PewDiePie, and that was the name everyone knew. Prepare yourselves for Mr. Beast.
Old fart now.
No, I've been hearing about Mr. Beast for months. Yeah, in fact, I've seen his videos. He's the guy who gives away money.
Yeah, so that's kind of his deal. Is he gets these sponsorships where he is given like $1 million to give out, in some grand way, where he just kind of goes out on the street and starts talking to someone and hands them a suitcase full of money.
So I was wondering where he got the money from. Okay, so people sponsors give him the money, because when I saw it, it's like he doesn't say where it came from, and it's like, you have just $1,000 to give people randomly. What's the deal?
Well, he's also making an insane amount of money off of all of these videos. He's figured out what works for the algorithm to get people to watch. I think he has something like 36 different people working for him. So he's got a full production arm, always coming up with these new ideas. Some of them are like, he isolates himself in a room for like 48 hours and he just has to be in there with absolutely nothing to do. And it's just a video of like him in a room and all of his friends on the outside just doing pranks on him to try and, drive him crazy over the course of 48 hours. It's actually pretty entertaining, I have to say. Like, it's easy to get pulled into it and not feel like what I realized in watching some of his videos is there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that I watch it and at the end, like, I just kind of feel gross.
Like what did I do? What did I just do?
Why and at least with his, like, there's a little bit of like he's giving money to people. There's something nice about like the fact that he's truly authentically surprising these people with something that literally, has the potential to change their lives in that moment. Yes, he's doing it because it makes him a star and it makes him more, gets him more subscribers and everything. But you can find, in my opinion, you can find a lot worse on YouTube than watching.
It's so funny how what goes around comes around, because radio stations for years have been giving away money to get listeners. It's not new. According to the New York Times, he started in middle school in 2012, and apparently his one and only goal was to become a YouTube star, because he cycled through different genres trying to figure out how to get the attention of the YouTube recommendation algorithm. He played games. He commented on YouTube drama. He uploaded funny video compilations, did reaction videos for a while. It was a couple of years ago he discovered giving away thousands of dollars. Who knew? Giving away thousands of dollars in cash to random people would be a recipe for success. He rebranded himself YouTube's biggest philanthropist. He declined to comment for the story because there's some cracks in the armor. One, he apparently pushed a cryptocurrency scam scheme, maybe not a scam, that cost people money. He promoted it and invested in it, but some fans lost a lot of money. And I have to say that one of the problems with YouTube, in a way, is it lends itself to this exact kind of thing, which is, here, I'm just going to give you money. That's not content.
Yeah. Right.
That's buying an audience. Although it ends up being content because it's interesting to see the reactions. And then the problem is, and this is where we'll see how well he does, it then becomes very difficult to top yourself. And people get tired and they move on. And you have to find the next thing. But you can say that
about all of the platforms, whether it's TikTok, YouTube.
So YouTube's worse. Any algorithmically driven platform is going to be bad because, attention moves on. The algorithm boosts you up very quickly. It can take you down just as quickly. And then you get that desperation. Oh, what do I do to keep this thing going? I've got 36 mouths to feed. Eventually gave back $1 million, by the way.
I've heard of him, but I never watched any of his videos. The only reason I took a semi-interest was because he was from Carolina.
Right. And he's a kid. Wow. He's 22. And parents like you, Jason, like him because at least he isn't filthy. He doesn't swear. He's not pranking people. So he's...
Like I can stand watching his videos. Some of the videos that end up on the TV when they're watching YouTube, I'm just like, oh, like this dude. This is just like nails on a chalkboard. And none of it is educational, by the way. Like I still don't know how I feel about like watching for entertainment, this like hyperdrive of spreading money all over the place. Like what is the value? Like what is like the like ethical or moral value that comes out of that sort of content? I'm not sure. I certainly don't know the answer to that.
Have you youngsters ever heard of a show called Queen for a Day?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. It's Queen for a Day.
Right. Okay. And so it's poverty porn too. It's you're all going to feel good. I mean, all media are made to make you feel better and superior to the rest of the world.
He created
and this in a way is that. I'm in better shape.
He's also doing what a lot of these guys do, which is you got to figure out where to put the money and how to keep the money coming in. He's done a lot of. It's interesting. He's obviously a go-getter. He created a Ghost Kitchen franchise. This is the Mr. Beast burger.
That's kudos for that.
I think that's actually 3 of them. I don't think you're supposed to eat that whole thing.
No. Although who knows? Maybe that's one of the topics of his video.
Yeah, he says, I literally just opened 300 restaurants all across America, but we only serve people through delivery apps. When a customer orders from the Mr. Beast burger in Midvale, Utah, the food is prepared at a location of Buca di Beppo, which is an Italian chain.
Oh, I used to eat there.
Yeah. And then Manhattan Mr. Beast burgers are made at Handcraft Kitchen and Cocktails. So it's called a ghost franchise because I guess in effect, you just put a name on something that somebody else is making. I don't know. He also, let's see, has a mobile gaming app. He wants to be Elon Musk one day, he says. How many times have I heard that?
Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, he's 22 and he's done a heck of a lot in a short amount of time at a young age. Like,
yeah,
I got to give him props for his entrepreneurial drive.
Yeah, he's clearly that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Mr. Beast. Yeah, I've been hearing his name for a while, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know from whom, but I have.
Someone who we don't know yet will out Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast.
In 2 years, it'll be somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the way YouTube seems to roll.
YouTube. If you want to watch up, I know you may not want to do this, but Queen for a Day, the videos are amazing.
Yeah, it's a sob story. So you get to be queen for the day by telling the saddest story. Like, my husband left me, and then the house burned down, and now the kids need dental work. And the whole thing is about watching these people, and then they pick one of these, right, Jeff?
Right,
there were several on the show.
This show was started before I was born.
Yeah, it's really old.
That old.
And they give you, a Maytag washing machine.
Maytag washer, right? Yeah. And oh boy, I can now wash the family's clothes.
Yeah.
Yay.
I wish I had a house to do it in. Yeah. All right. So this morning, the oversight board decided what to do about Donald Trump.
Kind of.
Wait a minute, hold on. We're supposed to get a popcorn break for this
Get your popcorn. So maybe, the former president had made noises about starting a social network, but, he's very ADD and I think eventually put something on his blog, like he's posting a blog. He started a blog.
Mm-hmm.
He's really lost, frankly, without Twitter. How important is Facebook to him? I don't know. What was the decision, Jeff? So
the decision was I think odd. The legal Twitter thinks it's nuanced and fascinating. I don't. What they said was, you were right to take him down. You were wrong to make it indefinite. You are not clear with your rules, and you didn't have a bunch of rules, and you didn't really enforce where this was and why it was. And within 6 months, we insist, they use the verb insist, we insist that Facebook come back with another decision. So that decision could be in 6 months that it's permanent. He ain't coming back ever, which is what Jack Dorsey has done, just on his own authority without an oversight board. Or it could be that we've decided that he's reformed, he's seen the burning bush, he can go back up.
So it's a non-decision decision.
Absolutely. Totally. So what they did was they threw the ball back across. Now, the legal people are saying, well, it really showed how Facebook is inconsistent. Yeah, we already knew that. And, put it back on Facebook. They couldn't put this on the oversight board. Well, the oversight board shouldn't have taken the decision in the first place. If they were going to say, no, we're not going to, they should have said that in the first place. So what's happened now, what upsets me about this now is that it's a vice, it's a wedge that's going to sit there for 6 months. And so you're going to have cancel culture whining going on from the right constantly, waiting to see what Facebook does. Facebook is going to be nervous as hell. And neither organization, neither Facebook nor the oversight board, took the opportunity to discuss the behavior itself. They concentrated, as the oversight board has been doing, on a statutorial level of the really fine nitty gritty of it, of like what he posted that day. To my mind, and I'll be political here for a moment, pardon me for this, The big lie alone is reason to take him off and leave him off. But they didn't deal with that. They didn't deal with the bigger issues. They didn't deal, they had pap in there about how important democracy is, but they didn't deal with the impact on democracy. Neither body did. So they've both just punted in their own way. Facebook did take them down. They did something, a little late in my view, but they did something. But then they punted to go to the oversight board, and the oversight board punted back. It's like Lucy in the football. And again, meanwhile, I watch, people say, oh, Mark Zuckerberg's too powerful. He makes too big of decisions. Well, they didn't make the decisions. Meanwhile, Jack Dorsey changed the world immensely by saying, this is enough. I'm taking him down. And he's been down, and it's been quiet, and it's made a difference.
It has.
And so, in a way, I want a more authoritarian company.
Yeah. Interesting.
Question for Mr. Jarvis.
Yes.
You, in your thread here, you said Facebook should keep Trump banned because of, quote, his uttering present imminent danger to democracy. What exactly did you mean by that, sir?
I mean the big lie. I mean saying that an election is invalid and saying that it has no value and trying to convince people of that tears down a pillar of democracy.
It's pretty funny because even though he has no pulpit anymore, he's kind of on his own because there's no reason that he couldn't be putting out press releases and doing interviews and stuff. But mostly what he seems to be doing is wandering aimlessly around Mar-a-Lago until he finds a group of people and then telling them, I won that election. It's a very strange, almost kind of Citizen Kane kind of bizarre end.
It would be poignant if he were human.
It's odd. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Is the Florida bill, this is kind of in response to what Facebook and Twitter did.
The Florida bill is so everybody. I'm sorry, you want to explain it first?
Yeah. So this bill, which I don't know if DeSantis has signed it yet, it was passed.
I think he did.
He wanted it, so I imagine he'll by now have signed it. It was passed by the Florida House of Representatives by a vote of 77 to 38, and then I think the other house. Yeah, it was just. But the bill is nutty. It says if you're a social network and you deplatform political candidates, you're gonna get a fine. I guess it's in reconciliation right now. So the bill's now going to the Senate to approve the changes made by the House. The Senate version called for fines of $10,000 a day for banning a political candidate, $100,000 a day if the candidate was running for election. Then the House version said, no, that's not enough. They bumped the fines up even more, almost more than doubled them. It doesn't apply to temporary social media bans, and it wouldn't apply to instances where the platform removes specific posts that violate the terms of service. But any social media ban that lasts longer than 60 days, both Facebook's and Twitter's bans have, would result in a fine. Strikes me that this is a violation of the First Amendment.
So clearly in violation.
It's also an attempt by a state to regulate interstate commerce, so it's going to fail.
Yeah, it's just all around.
And what's weird is they actually included an exemption.
Yeah.
For any information service system, internet search engine, or access software provider operated by a company that owns and operates a theme park or large entertainment complex. Who's in Florida? Oh, the exemption was included so that the Disney Plus streaming service isn't caught up in this.
and Comcast.
And Disney World. Yeah, right. Wow. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Just absurd. And they say it's not about President Trump, but it's clearly it was stimulated by the ban from Twitter and Facebook. I can't imagine it'll hold up in court. I don't know what will happen.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I have a question. It's just going to show my ignorance on all of this, and I'm okay with that. This ban of Trump is essentially because of what happened as far as the insurrection or a collection of everything. So if the insurrection
it's a good question because it's primarily January 6th and the insurrection.
That was the last straw, wasn't it?
It was also the last straw, exactly.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. If the insurrection had never happened, could we potentially still have to deal with him?
Anthony, the funny thing is, I think that we don't account enough for how even big titans of technology can become scared. And as long as Trump was in office, look what he tried to do with TikTok, right? I think that they were scared of him. And so January 6th, he was already defeated and he was leaving office and he did this thing. And so it was the moment when they all could do it. There are those who say they should have done it a year before, or should have at least done it from November when he was claiming the big lie from then, but he was still in office and and they were nervous. They're scared.
Gallia,
at that point, they were concerned with retaliation, right?
Right.
At that point,
yes, exactly.
Like, we do this with a year left in his term. What is he going to come back with? It's probably not going to be pretty for us.
Yeah.
So it was the accumulation of carbon monoxide in the blood finally got here. So officially, and I think it was more about that day, but actually it was more about the accumulation.
Okay.
Somebody says, instead of Rosebud, he goes around muttering Kofifi. I do wish I had a Facebook account for this one story. Signal, and I guess I wouldn't have seen these ads because they got immediately turned down by Facebook. And actually, there's even a dispute over what happened. Signal, which is the encrypted messaging platform run by Open Whisper Systems and Moxie Marlinspike, the founder, tried to run a Facebook ad. Gizmodo calls it the most honest Facebook ad campaign ever created. The ad says, you got this ad because, and then it says something about you. In this example case from Signal, you're a newlywed Pilates instructor and you're cartoon crazy. This ad used your location to see you're in La Jolla. And so there are all these examples.
Outstanding.
Signal said Facebook turned them down and then canceled their account. Facebook says, no, we didn't do that. They said this is just a publicity stunt by Signal, who never even tried to actually run these ads, and we didn't shut down their ad account for trying to do so. And then Signal says, we absolutely did try to run these. The ads were rejected, and Facebook disabled our ad account. These are real screenshots, as Facebook should know. So I don't know what really happened. I would trust Signal a little more than Facebook.
There's got to be some sort of transaction record out there, right?
Yeah, they could show the receipts. I think it's a great idea for an ad. And of course, it's exactly the kind of ad Facebook doesn't want anybody to run, because it's essentially saying, well, you see what Facebook knows about you and is willing to tell advertisers, come to Signal, stop using Facebook Messenger, because we don't do that.
Yeah, so that's pretty brilliant.
Can you advertise a competitor to Facebook on Facebook using the information Facebook provides advertisers? I would love to know. I would love to see this ad just to know what Facebook knows about me, right?
Yeah. Is that in the terms of service to have ads? That's probably written somewhere, possibly.
Well, I think they could probably say no to anything, but yeah, I'm curious. There is and again, I don't have Facebook, haven't had it for more than a year, actually more like 2 years now. But there used to be a thing you could go see what Facebook thinks about you, right? Facebook thinks you're a Republican and thinks you're this.
Well, you can see that. Was that in Facebook or was it Google?
Yeah, no, it was in Facebook.
Both? Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, I remember it on Facebook. I don't know. They still have that? I don't know. So that would have been one way to find out, but you have to be on.
So they just simply, the idea was they just bought La Jolla residents who like Block, and
they bought a lot of
ads showed up on.
A lot of individual ads, highly targeted.
They made explosion.
Yeah. Just as every political campaign does. They bought the targeted ads. Yeah. Facebook is going to give $5 million to local journalists covering communities. This is a problem, of course. Local journalism is dying in a lot of towns.
This is part of their, and full disclosure is my school might, I think, do some training for this or something. I don't know, but
this is part of their journalism project.
I'm not involved in that really. Yeah. But they're trying to, we talked about it briefly before, but they're trying to create a mechanism and train individual journalists. But interestingly, it's not just on Facebook. They presume people will have blogs off of Facebook and podcasts off of Facebook, but use Facebook for community and promotion, and that Facebook is going to try to get some of these going to fill in news deserts, giving priority to people who are covering areas that don't have major news coverage, who come from communities that have not been covered. And so, we'll see how far $5 million gets them. I've long believed in the power of hyperlocal, but it's hard. It's hard work, and people don't make a lot of money doing it, and it's hard to find them and to train them. So we'll see how well it goes. I'll try for anything when it comes to local news. We'll see.
Yeah, and the cynical part of me says, "Oh, Facebook's a small amount of money, and this is a way to kind of revitalize their reputation among journalists." But frankly, any corporation that does any kind of giving is doing it, maybe because they believe in the subject, but just as much because it's good PR. So, that's no different than anybody else.
Enlightened self-interest.
Enlightened self-interest. It's still, yes, enlightened.
And this is a Campbell Brown initiative inside Facebook. So she's a journalist and wants to see it happen. And full disclosure, Facebook has given money to my school for various activities, but I make no money personally from any of the platforms.
FCC has ruled that Elon Musk's SpaceX satellites can fly even lower. Amazon was a little upset about this initially, but Amazon said its concerns were adequately addressed by the conditions the commission placed on its approval. The FCC authorized SpaceX to lower the primary operational altitude for 2,804 of its satellites from 1,100 to 1,200 kilometers to about half that, 540 to 570 kilometers. Lower means lower latency, higher speed. Yes.
I've been meaning to ask. So like today with that launch, is there a map of where these little buggers are so that that is going to be a safe launch?
So you don't fly into one of them?
Yeah.
Well, space, let me tell you, Jeff, is a very big place.
Big place. Well, but there's more and more stuff up there, right?
How do they do that, John? It's all mapped. They know where stuff's going to be.
It is.
Just plan the launch. It might get more complicated because, things like a Mars launch, the window for that is fairly short. And if you miss it, you might have to wait a year till the next time you can launch to Mars because you want to do it when it's closest. And so it may be that you don't have a whole lot of time to get around the satellites. But, they're moving around. And there is some concern that there you go. Holy moly. Where's that from, John? Is that Google?
Wow.
It says Google. Look at that. They're all, but you see,
what's that line? You need to get John a mic.
I know. I can't hear. He's talking about that line above.
Go up.
That orange line across.
Let's see.
Huh?
Jammerby gets on the mic.
Perfect. There, that.
Those are all Starlinks.
They're all Starlinks. I figured. So
they're probably the recent launch, and they haven't gotten to their positions
yet. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So they get, they launch from one rocket 60 or more satellites at once, and then they have to fly into position. So wow, look at that.
Jeez,
there's a lot of them up there, but
no kidding.
There's hundreds and hundreds of miles between each one.
Right.
I know, but
you're saying there's a chance.
We have a fender bender up here, and we're gonna have to turn around, go home.
Yeah.
So I'm
the guy who paid for Skylab, so.
Yeah, he bought pizza for all of Australia. What was the story?
$10,000 for a beer hauler's helper for bringing us the first pieces of Skylab. Stan Thornton.
So I didn't know that Nuzzle, in our editorial meeting, people said, Twitter bought Nuzzle. And I said, what? I didn't know that Nuzzle got sold to Scroll.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Kind of rescued.
Scroll, which is actually a very interesting company.
Very interesting.
Scroll, one of the things Scroll's doing, and I'm a subscriber to this, is you pay $5 a month and they distribute it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Oh.
They distribute it to partner sites as you're browsing around. So Scroll has proven, they say, there's a new model for journalism. 40% more revenue, 28% more time spent, 15% increase in page views. Twitter just bought Scroll. And getting Nuzzle in the process, I might add. Which I think is interesting. They're going to shut down Nuzzle, which is too bad because I love Nuzzle.
For now.
But I get Nuzzle. The feeling that they might be planning something because remember, they have also bought that newsletter business a few months ago.
Right, exactly. And so Tony Hale, who's the founder of Scroll, who prior to that was the head of Chartbeat.
That's Tony Hale. I know Tony Hale.
That's Tony Hale. Tony's great. Tony's a friend, and Tony believes deeply in journalism. And in the case of Scroll, He was just saying there's some proportion. It's not everybody. It's not going to save everything, but there's some proportion of your audience who would pay money every month to get rid of the ads.
Yeah.
And you capture them, right?
Yeah.
And they're using it, and they're feeling guilty, as they damn well should, about using ad blockers and stuff. And they get a better experience anyway. It's not kludged. And so he set that up. But what he said was that the Twitter is the one. He said for Facebook and Google, news is comme ci, comme ça. It's not really part of their strategy. If it went away, it wouldn't hurt them. Twitter is the one company for which news is critical to its strategy. So he believed this was a core marriage meant to happen. And I think it shows. I mean, I'm really getting, every day I get more to be more a fan of Jack Dorsey. Considering how he handled Trump, considering how he's buying this stuff and starting to do things, he cares about news. He cares about expertise. I think there's interesting stuff happening at Twitter. And so by getting Scroll in and Nuzzle,
Well, and Nuzzle has a newsletter kind of a component because so what Nuzzle is a news site that is based on your Twitter feed. So you sign
on the links from the links that people link to.
Right.
It aggregates those.
You sign in with your Twitter feed, and then it shows news from your friends, news from your friends of friends, news you may have missed because none of your friends linked to it. And I found it to be very useful. It's not. I don't use it just for tech, because apparently, based on the people I'm following, they're very interested in politics as well. So it will look different for everybody, I would guess.
But imagine if you could have a different view of Twitter, where you don't just see the tweets, you see the Nuzzle view of your Twitter feed, which is what are the interesting stories. And Twitter more and more is forcing you to read those stories before you do anything with them, right?
Yeah.
So that becomes an interesting way to do it. And imagine too, if you could have a one sign-in view then across premium news sites from Twitter. And you're subscribing to Twitter and to tons of good news sites. That starts to be really interesting.
So then are you thinking, like, with this kind of in combination with, the word that we've heard that Twitter is working on some sort of a premium model, like this kind of ties into that, right? Or
it does, right.
I would imagine this would be a component of whatever their premium model would be. Because when I've thought about Twitter as a premium model prior, it was kind of like, well, what could you really do to the Twitter experience that I would actually pay for? But that's a lot of added value there. I would absolutely pay for that. And actually, when I think about it, and I mentioned this last night on All About Android as well, there aren't a whole lot of services that I use as much as I use Twitter. So if it really came down to paying for something, I would have to put my money where my mouth is. I use Twitter pretty constantly. I should be able to pitch in and pay for the service.
Yeah, but I think that part of the problem, Jason, is that it's hard to say what would be premium on top of Twitter. If Twitter has to have a free layer, or else it's right. Because its stock just went down because its user growth stalled a bit, though investors are buying the stock at the same time. So you don't necessarily, you either charge for the core thing and shrink it, or you come up with something new. And so coming up with something, and this goes to your thing, Ant, too, the other day, is you didn't really want to commit to subscribing to the Washington Post. You did, because we kind of browbeat you into it.
And I'm pretty much going to get out of that trial because it hasn't really added any value to my day-to-day consumption.
But if you could get the occasional article from 20 different places that had value without friction, would you pay for that?
Story. That's a different story. Right.
And you can imagine through the Nuzzle functionality, getting links. I mean, it could be a hell of a driver of subscription, one definition or another, to this. There's another company called I forget what it is. Axate? No. There's another company out there that does some interesting things with this model where you pay a lump sum in the month and you can choose when to use it. There's a few different models that would work around this. By the way, we should give a plug here to the amazing, wonderful Jonathan Abrams.
Yes.
Who was the founder of Nuzzle.
Yes.
Also, of course, the founder of Friendster and Hotlinks before that. Jonathan is one of those great unsung people who really is always just a little bit too ahead of the world, but does great stuff.
Yeah, I love Nuzzle. I use it. I will be sad to lose it, frankly.
Yeah, I enjoyed using it. I had a couple opportunities to co-host Tech News Weekly with Mr. Howell and Mr. Sargent, and it was nice to be able to pull that up and take a look at my followers that I know pay attention to some things that I typically don't pay attention to, and be able to grab some interesting insight. Now, granted, October, November was a pain in the butt because it was all political stuff. But outside of that, it was a great resource for some stuff that I had no idea was going on out there.
And journalists are screaming about losing Nuzzle. They're just,
and it was trusted sources too, you know?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great tool for journalism. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if Twitter might not have liked it, because honestly, I used it more than I used Twitter. I used it to scrape my Twitter, and I only read Nuzzle. I wonder if that Twitter would, I'm sure Twitter would prefer you go to the Twitter page.
Unless but they need to fix Twitter then, if that's the case, because I went to Twitter first. I've said before that Twitter is where I got my news, but again, if I was working Tech News Weekly that week, I wanted to get a little bit more than what I normally would get, because I don't particularly care about news the way other people do. And when I go to my version of Twitter, it's enough news in there for Aunt Pruitt, but not enough for, you or Mr. Jarvis or what have you. So having Nuzzle step in and say, okay, Aunt, you need to know more about this stuff right here too. Not just because your buddy posted it, but your buddy posted it, his friend posted it, her friend posted it. So it's pretty important, Aunt. Take a look at it. And I like that about Nuzzle. Twitter didn't really give me that.
Well, for me, the difference, as I'm listening to you kind of talk through this, it suddenly became clear to me. The thing that I appreciate about Nuzzle compared to an algorithm is the algorithm on a Twitter site that says this is news that you would care about is very anonymous. It's very much just like, we think you care about this. Are we right? Here is the story. Are you going to read it? On Nuzzle, it was a very transparent approach to saying, we think you're going to care about this because all these people that you care about it.
Right.
And being able to open up a news story and see all the people that I respect enough to follow on Twitter, commenting, about their views and their takes on these stories. It was just the contextual kind of bonus out of that was just so much more satisfying to me than just going on a site and taking what it says it thinks I want to read.
Jason, I think you're so right. And I was talking to somebody else about a different business this morning. They were just calling for advice. And I've been arguing that I think the next generation of the web is an expert layer. And, I've talked often on the show about my COVID Twitter list of 600 experts and how much it's taught me. And Twitter's been trying to build those expert lists. Their COVID Twitter list, frankly, isn't as good as mine because they have a few turkeys on it. And so you can see where a Nuzzle / scroll for the big brands, Nuzzle for the kind of individuals, could start to bring you an entirely different window onto Twitter. And now remember, again, Jack's strategy of looking at the possibility of a federated, open, lower layer of Twitter. Then the money is made, like WordPress, with the value you add on top of that layer. The recommendations you give, the curation you do, the subscription models you offer, the relationships you enable. In social, there's a huge new opportunity on top of that, but I think it becomes based in the people you trust, the people who are experts. Now, that can also mean you trust the wrong people and idiots feed idiots, but that's the world. So we'll see.
There's so many stories I want to talk about, but I also we're kind of running out of time.
Time. What's the time? Tell me what the time is, Leo.
That's
time
wrong.
Is it? I can't.
It's now.
Well, it's not 14:17.
No. I gotta.
Why? What a good investment
clock.
That was, Leo.
Shut up. I got a new clock and I have to set it. It's a Nixie clock. It's actually a very cool clock, but if for some reason at 2 o'clock it went back to 1 o'clock, and now it thinks it's 2 o'clock again. So let's see. Let's see at 3 o'clock if it goes back to 1 o'clock. I don't know what's going on.
It's actually a time machine, Leo.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Groundhog Day, the podcast.
Yeah, it really is that
Facebook
time.
Over and over and over again. Yes.
New York requiring $15 broadband for poor people, immediately sued by all the big ISPs saying, what are you, nuts? There's no money in that.
Why people don't get more? Why they don't stay angrier at their cable company and internet company versus the platforms throws me.
Yeah.
Platforms give you wonderful free stuff.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're getting ripped off by your internet service. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Lobbying groups for Verizon, AT&T, and other ISPs went to court to overturn the state law. What a surprise. Verizon and AT&T, you say. Where's Comcast in that? I bet they're in there too.
Of course they are.
Let's see. Google
Speaking
Assistant.
of Verizon.
Yes.
We talked about this last week briefly, but they're now
selling Yahoo. Yeah.
Yep.
What'd they get?
Loaded them. $5 billion, supposedly.
To Apollo Global Management. Why are all these private equity firms? Why do they have such anodyne names? Like, what is?
Well, because they
don't want you to know what they're up to.
The devil wears a nice coat.
Apollo Global Management. What could be wrong with that?
The company that's buying all the newspapers is Alden Management, right? What does that mean?
Yeah, nothing. Is there a guy named Apollo running it? I don't think so.
Would it have been better if they called themselves Zeus?
Zeus, yeah. Zeus, you'd know what you were getting into, right? Yeah. So Verizon Media, which has gone through several names, will be renamed yet again to Yahoo. Isn't that funny? So they bought Yahoo, renamed it Oath. Was that Oath?
That's correct.
And then they got rid of Oath and called it Verizon Media. And now it's going back to Yahoo.
Oh my goodness.
Yahoo. But it isn't all of Yahoo. So we were talking about this on Sunday, and the speculation was that they bought parts of it, but maybe not intellectual property and things like the advertising technology business. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. $5 billion is a lot less than they paid for the various parts and pieces together.
It's about half of what they paid for them,
Yep.
and it is a fraction of what their market cap was some time ago.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people.
Yeah.
I hated Yahoo Mail, but I used to love Yahoo Sports and Yahoo Games back in the day.
I used Yahoo Finance. Yeah.
Yahoo Finance as well.
Was the front page of the internet. It was huge. My Yahoo and others. I mean, Yahoo, the TV, Yahoo, which I think was TV.com, had more views than almost any other site on the internet. I mean, it was really, really huge.
Used to love it.
Yeah. Good New Yorker article. I'll just throw you a tip on probably the greatest Simpsons writer of all time, who has never, ever done a media interview. Rarely profiled. He's very private, but I started reading it and it's very good. So I recommend that.
Aren't we the classy show?
We're classy. The Simpsons.
I've got another one in there.
So classy. Let's talk about the Simpsons. John Swartzwelder, the sage of the Simpsons. First major interview, one of the most revered comedy writers of all time. If you're a Simpsons fan, it is a must.
Can I make a confession?
Yes.
As a former TV critic?
Never watched The Simpsons. Don't tell me that. Never?
No.
In the later years, not good. But in the early years, really groundbreaking.
I used to love it.
I kind of missed that.
I used to love them, but then I later boycotted The Simpsons.
Why did you boycott it?
Lisa Simpson got a letter in the mail from the, quote, best state university in South Carolina. And Homer Simpson says, "Go Gamecocks." And I was done.
You know it's a cartoon, right? I mean, it's not.
I don't care. I'm done with you, Homer.
Doesn't forgive.
Haven't watched him since.
That's all it took.
There was another New Yorker article you were about to mention.
Well, just because it's interesting. And this is, we've seen these kind of AI stories before, but it keeps on advancing, and they took known writers and then had it kind of continue on in their style, and it did amazingly. And what it says to me is that writing, since Montaigne, that was the kind of the entry point you had to have into the conversation. Oh, you're a writer. If you're not a writer, people aren't going to read you and listen to you, right? So writing became the requirement for an elite. And Now it is writing everywhere, right? Everybody's got their hot takes out there. Everybody's got their blogs. Everybody's got it out there. And now the machines will be able to do it in incredible ways too. They've been doing it, of course, for sports stories and finance stories, which are highly structured. But now they're even doing it to a level of art. And writing is commodified. Writing is not a special thing anymore. Writing is not a big deal, folks.
They proved it
as a writer.
They proved it, and I'm kind of spoiling the article by giving you the first paragraph of Gregor Kafka's famous book, The Metamorphosis, and then giving you the second paragraph, which, as far as you can tell, seems pretty right on. And then they say, except that was written by an AI. This is GPT-3. We've talked about it before.
Right.
The OpenAI neural learning network that can auto-generate text. It wasn't very good in the first few iterations. It's getting better.
It keeps getting better.
It's getting better. It's clearly only a matter of time before it will be, the deep fake of writing. It'll be indistinguishable from the real thing. Gary Vaynerchuk quoted on CNN. NFT is the next Amazon. No, you're wrong, Gary. You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Plus, he had this amazing.
But what if he's right?
No, but he's not.
Well, what does it even mean?
Oh,
I don't know.
Guess what? Gary V has his own NFT collection, which gives buyers 3 years of access to his VCon business. Good, well named VCon, and marketing convention. Customers can buy the tokens with Ethereum cryptocurrency. What a surprise. You know what? Gary's an old friend, but
same here.
The hype machine has eventually got to wind down a little bit.
The thing at this point, I hear people like him say that about NFTs, and it makes me think back to my first thoughts of Bitcoin and Dogecoin and how I'm kicking myself nowadays.
You know who's really kicking himself? The guy who co-created Dogecoin.
No kidding.
Dogecoin, which hit 45 cents on Monday night, which means it is now bigger than Honda Motor Company in terms of market cap, except the guy who created what was basically a joke cryptocurrency, Billy Marcus, recently revealed that he sold off all his Dogecoin in 2015 for an amount equivalent to what a used Honda Civic would cost at that time. $10,000. He used it to pay rent, not buy a Honda Civic, but it's now worth more than all of Honda Company.
It's a crazy world we got in here.
What a crazy world.
It's a crazy world.
Yeah, there's always been that. There's tulip bulbs. Cents. There's always been that stuff. It's not. It's 66 cents?
Okay, yeah, 66 cents right now.
Wow.
The meme has been pushing for $1 for I don't know how many months now, and it seemed crazy
it got up
about
to
5 months ago.
That
seemed like a ridiculous thought, and now we're close.
Father Robert Balasaire, who when he was doing Know How, set up a Dogecoin miner as a joke. Mine how many millions?
1.2 million.
No. John's saying 20 million.
I don't know about that.
Was it only 1.2 million?
I checked in with him yesterday
and he
about
said
it.
1.2.
So how many millions did you have? And I think he said 1.2, unless I misread that. But no matter how you slice it,
close enough. What is 69? What is 69 cents times 1.2? It's not $1 million. Let's face it. It's
you
only
can buy the Vatican.
It's only
still a lot of cash.
Like 700,000. It's not like
Still a lot of cash.
Dogecoin has done $42 billion in volume in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
Whatever happened to my Dogecoin wallet? I invested it in this fine Nixie clock.
That's wrong.
I haven't said it yet. I did, but...
You did set it.
You did. That's the thing.
You spent an hour and a half to set it.
No, I had to carefully wipe down every tube with alcohol, wearing gloves, and slowly, very, very slowly insert the tubes into the pins.
It was like watching Mission Impossible in the pre-show.
Come around for the pre-show. You don't want to miss this fun, I'm telling you.
Sony ditches DSLRs, moving beyond film era designs. What does that mean, Aunt Pruitt?
Yeah.
Pruitt?
I'm sorry, my hard head just messaged me. What?
I didn't know Sony made DSLRs. I thought they were all mirrorless.
Oh, yeah, way back in the day, but
they've
Sony
stopped now completely. They apparently were still making them, but they've no longer. Yeah.
Right. When they got into that NEX line, the smaller compact system cameras, it really started to take off. And then you started to see the A7 line, the Alpha 7.
Yeah. That's what I have. Yeah.
You have the A7R. Their prowess really just took off, especially on the video standpoint, because they're so lightweight and the color science is really good. And they've just been getting better and better and better. And why not just stick to it? What's working? They also have their Cine line of cameras. Pardon?
Do the mirrors die at some point? Does that whole technology go away?
Yeah, it's pretty much a dead tech. Everybody's moving more towards the mirrorless design because it's a lot more. No, I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't say a lot more because it's lighter than the DSLR body. Because if you look at the R5 and this A1 that I just reviewed for Hands On Tech, they're fairly light bodies, but when you put a lens on them, these things are still just as heavy as a DSLR. It's a smaller, compact body that's a little bit more manageable to carry around.
While we're on photo, can I get your explanation of how the Bidens look like giants and the Carters midgets?
I believe that was a bad lens choice. Yeah, bad lens choice.
So explain how that happens.
You use a wide angle lens, you get lens distortion, and they tend to make things sort of bow out. If you use software like Lightroom, Lightroom has a calibration feature that will help flatten your image out to make things look a little bit more natural.
They're on the same plane. I think that the Bidens actually are giants, and the Carters are tiny. Look, that is not. They're on the same focal plane. That's no lens issue.
What I saw, it looked like they were down lower. That does look weird. Oh boy,
it's just amazing.
It looks like they've gone to visit a home for munchkins.
Oh boy,
and yeah. But you do get smaller when you get older.
I wonder. I wonder the lens now, because if he was using, say, like a 85 or something, it would be a lot more compressed. I don't know. This don't make any sense.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
There's something about how the Carters are sitting and the fact that the angle that we're seeing the top of their legs as if it's a small distance.
Yeah, and I think
what I mean?
The president is actually maybe is a foot or two ahead of Rosalind. But I don't know, maybe Jimmy's just that small, because it looks like Jill Biden is exactly next to him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
The image is, you know what, you're not alone. The Guardian photo editor said the image is possibly distorted by using a wide angle lens, and I'm sure that's true. Maybe it was so wide that even the small distance between them was enough to create that kind of strange.
It was so fun watching Twitter react to this photo.
If you take your smartphone and want to take a selfie of yourself or whatever, and the closer you put it, you'll start to notice like your nose will get bigger.
Yeah.
And that's just the distortion of the lens. It's the same principle here, but I don't know. This looks a little wonky. I'm thinking he was shooting with like a 16 mil or something like that. Something that's really, really wide, and went and got it in the post and tried to compress it down, and he still ended up with this.
Well, so what might have happened in post, you're saying?
Right. So probably still should have shot with like a 35 prime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my favorite part too is Bild, which is the kind of tabloid of Germany. Ran the picture with a big headline on their front page saying, Liebling, wir haben die Carters geschrumpft. Honey, we've shrunk the Carters.
Actually, it's worth reading the Guardian article because they also include a lot of other famous viral photos.
What Scooter X put in the chat is hilarious too.
He says the Carters What did he say? Let me.
They really are giants. It's in the IRC.
Here's why the
you got to click
cars
the
really
link.
are giants. And here is the actual photo before retouching. I think a lot of people really didn't. This is an example of fake news really distorting.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
The whole thing.
That's good. Good, Rex. Good find.
Yeah, nice. Let's see. Anything else? I want to do a change log. I really do. Let's launch. Wait a minute. Is there not a change log?
Yes, no, there is. It's a pretty small one.
It's a teensy one. Play the drums. It's time for the Google change log.
Google change log.
Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. If you've been using Stadia, Google's streaming gaming service, you have been moaning along with everybody else. In fact, we even mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there is no search, even from the search giant, to find the game you want. Google has finally added a search bar to the Stadia store to allow you to search through the 172 games currently on the service. Now, if they could only find some new executives to replace the ones who left, they might have a shot at it. So finally, a search bar added after almost 2 years.
That is pretty ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. You're the search company.
Yeah.
Google really Assistant will finally be able to say your name correctly. Apple's always had this feature that you could say, here's how you say my name in Siri, because Siri never knew. Google finally in the Assistant, you can scroll down in the settings, tap on Google Assistant, tap on the U badge. Under basic info, type on nickname, and you can listen to the way Google would pronounce that name, or you can record your own. So this is rolling out.
Will Google then say it back in the Google voice or in your voice?
In the Google voice. Yeah.
You just giving it some information.
And it's not just for you. It's anyone in your family, from what I understand. I don't know if that's going to extend into other contacts at some point as well, but yeah.
What I like, and I Google, I don't know, does Mr. All About Android, does Google have the feature that you can change your nickname? See, listen, I'm going to tell Siri to change my nickname. Change my nickname. And then it says, okay, what would you like me to call you? Actually, I should turn up the sound.
Leo's broken.
We're going to be here for another 5 hours.
Oh, please. Come on, Siri.
Sorry,
come on.
I missed that. Could you say it
again? That's what you get, Leo.
Take that.
It's a fun trick.
That's what you get. So yes, I just looked it up. You can edit your own nickname.
Okay.
Yes, you can change the name your Google Assistant calls you. You go into Hey G, open Assistant settings, tap basic information, tap nickname, edit, and make your changes there.
Google has announced. Oh, you already did this story, so I don't know. It's not really.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The Pixel A Buds A series, they accidentally unveiled it, so that won't be very excited. Wait a minute. This
Jason did in his own changelog. Yeah.
Yeah. You. That's good. That's good. Google's bringing a Google TV-like experience to Android tablets. This is Florence Ion's story from Gizmodo, her new master.
Go ahead, Florence.
Go ahead and do that thing that you do so well. Entertainment Space is the name of it. Quick access to movies, shows, games. Does anybody have an Android tablet? That's
what I was laughing about. It starts with Walmart too. It's a special thing with Walmart.
Oh, that explains it. Those are the cheap. Those are the really cheapo. Yeah.
We still have an old Sony Android tablet that gets used here in the home for watching Netflix or YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, those not too updated tablets. At least they do that.
Yeah, it still works for that. That's all it's good.
Cue my lament for my Nexus 7, which I adored. I would buy it again.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Hall of Fame device there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I had two of them, and they finally just died on me. Yeah. What was wrong with them was the storage they used really wore out.
Yeah, it did.
It was a storage issue.
Yeah, you're right. I did have problems. Yep.
YouTube has started testing something that's actually been around for a long time. If you use SoundCloud, you can put a comment in the audio stream, and it shows up as you're playing. There are little dots on the bottom on the timeline, and it shows up. YouTube is testing time-linked comments on YouTube videos now.
I like that.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it's super handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how SoundCloud has implemented that. And yeah, you're right. They've had it on SoundCloud for a very long time. But
what do you like about
it's
that?
Really useful.
What do you like about that? I see that, and I assumed that it was just another way to drive engagement if people read it. What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, on SoundCloud specifically, I'm probably listening to a song, and if I see a cluster of comments around a certain area, it either means that's really great or it's not. Something that happens there. Yeah. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's just an added bit of context to the experience that isn't detached in a comment section down below. It's actually kind of in real time associated with a particular moment in whatever media I'm listening to. And I don't know. I appreciate that extra layer.
Nice.
Yeah.
All righty. That's the Google change log.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Prepare your picks of the week. They're coming up next. But first, a word from our sponsor, CacheFly. This Week in Google, literally brought to you by CacheFly. It's a CDN, the content delivery network we've been using for over 10 years. It started literally now 21 years ago, 1999. CacheFly has gotten better and better and better. It's one of the reasons, people, you may not be aware of it, but, our podcasts are download fast. They're always there. You never get a server disappearing or, file not found error. And that's because of CacheFly. Now CacheFly has just added a new feature, which is amazing. Ultra low latency streaming. It's not the WebRTC solution that's let you down in the past. Stream delays with CacheFly's ultra low latency streaming less than 1 second. But that's not all. They have an HTML5 player that offers support anywhere. There's an SDK for even better mobile support. So your player can run everywhere, websites, applications, mobile devices, any platform. They've got you covered. Of course, CacheFly is a true global CDN. They're the fastest CDN for throughput globally. Over 50 points of presence all over the world. On their low latency network, your video streams will be streaming quickly wherever you have viewers, regardless of where they are, whatever continent they are. And man, does it scale. CacheFly's ultra-low latency video platform can deliver video to more than 1 million users concurrently. 1 million, it's amazing, as well as ingest thousands of synchronous streams. Very reliable ingesting, too. The platform's designed for transmuxing thousands of streams simultaneously. They've got live failover. They can ingest RTMP, RTMPS, SRT, and more, deliver ultra-low latency SLDP and HLS streams at the same time even. And you're going to get a custom-built solution designed to fit your unique needs, all on top of CacheFly's reliable, robust global network with ingest and delivery wherever you need it. They've been doing this longer than anybody. They are the kings. With a 24/7, 365 a day a year priority support, they're always there when you need them. We've never had, we've called support a few times, but always because of something we did, but they've always been great. CacheFly's infrastructure can support more than 1 million concurrent streams today because of their reliable throughput and scalability, up to 5 times faster than other CDNs. The world's most reliable CDN backed by a 100% SLA. Not 5 nines, 10 nines, 11 nines, 100%. CacheFly is helping others in need. They've partnered with World Central Kitchen, a great organization, serving 300,000 warm meals. Nice job, CacheFly. They pioneered the first Anycast CDN infrastructure in 2002, and their desktop technology automatically finds the fastest route to and from customer origin across their global network of POPs for maximum performance and reliability. We love them. You will too. In fact, if you want to know what CacheFly can do for you, bring your current CDN bill and your usage trends to twit.cashfly.com. You'll get a free, detailed, no-pressure analysis to see if you're overpaying 20% or more for your CDN. And if you don't have a CDN, run, don't walk, run to twit.cashfly.com. It is, I could tell you, it's a must. twit.cashfly.com. So I don't know if you've ever seen this show before, Jason, but we do at the end of it. We do.
Yeah, I've figured. I saw an area in the bottom of the dock that had names and pics in it. So
yeah.
I assumed what would go down there.
Yeah,
but
I
might get it wrong.
We're gonna get a pick of the week from you. Jason is a very talented musician, and this looks like something you might use in your music.
Yeah, so I'm talking about this not because it's anything new necessarily. I think this actually came out like a year and a half ago. My camera's
there it is.
Here it is. It's the Apollo Twin X
almost
by
as cool
UAD.
as my Nixie clock.
Yeah, I know. It's actually, well, not quite as cool. I don't need gloves to use it, though, so at least there's that.
Voice is hard.
Oh, Lord.
But I'm kind of smitten with this right now. I got it, I don't know, about a month ago. It's an audio interface. But the thing about the Apollo Twin X is that it's by a company called Universal Audio, and they make a lot of hardware, but they also make a lot of really high quality audio production plugins. And what you get when you buy this kind of hardware, this runs, I think this was $800, and then they have some that you can get that are more powerful. They have inside of them something called a Shark processor, which is, a processor specifically supports their own plugins. So in order to use any of the plugins that Universal Audio has created, you need their hardware to do it. And so this allows me to plug in an instrument, either a guitar, I can do, mic inputs on the back and everything. And I can do something called Unison, which essentially means that I can take models of real, like, classic audio hardware, like the Neve 88RS channel strip, for example, like, these old, like, hardware outboard gear that it would cost tens of thousands of dollars for me to bring into my studio. Instead, Universal Audio has gone through and they've done modeling of these things to a very precise level, and then they've made it completely off-board from the processor in your computer, so that all the processing is happening inside of this device and with no latency. So, for example, if I wanted to plug my guitar in here and pretend like I'm plugging directly into that Neve channel strip, I get zero latency for I do that. I'm pulling up these, classic pieces of hardware gear, audio hardware, and incredible. And having the lack of latency for performance, when you're doing music production, you want no latency, ideally. And anytime that I've been doing this sort of like plug-in management for writing music, I've always dealt with latency and just gotten used to it. Now I don't have to, and it's like a dream come true. I'm loving it. So it's called the Apollo Twin X by Universal Audio. If you make music, look for it. It's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You are talented. Do you want to give a plug for Yellow Gold and where we can find your music?
Oh, sure. Yeah. yellowgoldmusic.com is the site that has any of the albums that I've done to date. I kind of feel like I'm, especially with the purchase of this, and I got a new guitar not too long ago. I kind of feel like I've been working on ideas and stuff, and I'm working towards something. I don't know what it is quite yet, but any of the music that I've done already is at yellowgoldmusic.com, and check it out. It's all there. It's free.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's the album cover over your right shoulder there.
Yeah, that's the art. A friend of mine, Ben Minter, and then also Scott Johnson. So it's kind of like a merging of the two of their art.
They both did stuff. That's
neat. Yeah, I gave them both a photo of me and said, "Do your art," and then I'm going to scale it together and kind of do a mixture of both of them. And that's awesome. I did. Yeah, cool. It turned out really good.
I should play some Yellow Gold. I don't think we've ever played it on the show. Is there a song that you really like?
You'll make me blush if you do that. I might end up disconnected.
You play all the instruments, right?
Oh yeah. This was an outtake from the last album. I do all the instruments. This is way more electronic than most of the stuff I do. But a lot of the other stuff
really
that I do is more indie and
I love this
rock.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's called Freeform.
Yeah,
some photo walk music right there.
Isn't that
hey,
good?
There you go. Put this in your headphones and go on a photo walk.
It's moving.
Yeah, right on. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Jason. Now, if JasonHowell.com takes us down, I'm going to be...
Don't worry. You got nothing to worry about as far as I know anyways.
I got the yellow gold lawyers all over me now. Jeff Jarvis, number of the week.
So I'm going to do a thing this week. Does anybody know? Let's see if we can see it. What that is? Can you see it there?
I'm not sure what that is. It looks like a relay. I don't know. What is that?
Is that a Bitcoin?
No.
Oh, it's an actual Bitcoin. It's a Dogecoin.
This is part of my favorite machine ever made in history. You can see there's a little key.
It's got to be a linotype, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this is the mold, the matrix for a linotype. So you can't, it's hard to get the thing to focus. But you see those two little indentations on top there.
Are you calling me a thing now?
Yeah. That's the letter H, 9 point. And then these, this looks like a kind of a early pre-electric Pac-Man. These little teeth. So these teeth are in a key pattern. So when the mold would shoot down, this would come out of the H part of the magazine, and it would go up, and the printer could see on the other side. It says, oh, it's an H. You could see what the line was going to be. The line got all created. It got molded, and then all these went back up on an elevator to the top of the machine. They went around and around and around this thing, where when the teeth met the right pattern, it would fall back in with the other H's. This was incredibly revolutionary in the history of all. It was kind of the last big machine in the Gutenberg age. So I just won a cheap auction on eBay to get a box of these. I wanted these for years.
That's hysterical.
I'm very proud that I have.
Oh, that's hysterical.
So these are the matrices. It used to be called a Patrix and a matrix. Right? The Patrix was the stamp you'd do in, which had the letter in the positive, and the matrix was in the negative. It was the female. And so this is a matrix mold.
So
for the letter H.
Linotypes have been around since the Gutenberg era?
No. It was the last hot lead innovation.
Oh,
see,
since
1890s and until the 1970s.
I remember when I was a little kid, my friend Joseph had a hot lead soldier kit where I can't believe they sold this to children.
I know.
you would melt lead on your stove and then pour it into molds for lead soldiers. And I came over one afternoon and we did that all afternoon. Nobody got maimed.
And then you'd suck on them and your bloodstream. Yeah.
I can't believe now that I think of it that they sold that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Aunt Pruitt, let's get a pick from you, sir.
My first pick is I want to give a shout out to Pantherware. This is a friend of mine that basically years ago decided to just start creating music and getting a collective of musicians together and putting content out there so other content creators can use their music and they actually get paid. The musicians actually get paid. They've since grown that site. He has since grown that site and he's now also connected with Disco and he's offering basically a licensing way, a perpetual license for people to add music to their content. And, and it all depends on the price, depends on the type of license you want to use. I think they start at like $200, or if you're a member of Disco, the Disco is tied into it as well because you have a Disco subscription. But I've used his tracks before, and he's super talented, and the musicians that he has with him are all super talented.
Got to work on him. There's no country music in here.
At one time there were, because I used to laugh about
wait a minute. I made it friendship and country. That's my mistake. There's lots of country music. I'm getting tired of this place. That's the song I should play for you. Look at that.
There was a time this was my kingdom.
So I could get this royalty free. Now I'm not paying for it, so I'm going to stop right there. But that sounds pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's all pretty high quality stuff there. I'm impressed. And he's been doing this for
Pete Berwick.
A handful of years now, and it's starting to grow. And I just wanted to give him some kudos just to see the growth that he's experiencing.
Nice.
And then next I wanted to
PANFURWARE.
That's correct.
.disco.ac. But just Google Pan4Ware, I'm sure you'll find
Pan4Ware. And next, I want to give a shout out to Floss Weekly. This episode that dropped at the time of this recording featured Dr. Andre Kudra, and they talked about SSI and something called Demoscene that I had never heard of. And it was so daggum fascinating.
Don't get me started on Demoscene. Oh,
it was
Lord.
so fascinating.
Mostly in Germany. Although I think you did you ever get involved in the demos at all, or mods or anything like that?
Didn't want to touch it. It's code.
It was code. And I think it was a lot of Amiga types doing it.
Amiga and
Commodore, Amiga.
Commodore.
Yeah.
I remember obsessing over the demo scene when
I
back
thought
in the
you
day,
might have.
but I never participated. I always wished that I could back then, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I had a hard time TDing the show this morning because I kept getting glued in on what he was saying instead of TDing the show. Mm-hmm. It was so daggum fascinating, and that was with Mr. Doc Searles and Mr. Aaron Newcomb and Dr. Andre Kudra.
So demo scenes were both video and music, and I guess that's probably why. Now this is somebody talking about them, but this is kind of what they looked like. They were they're dated now. They look so old now.
But they didn't have any actual resources, computer resources. This stuff was done in like 256 bytes.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Commodore 64, Floyd Duck in the Discord is talking about this. Commodore 64, of course, didn't have any video. It was just 64K. So the demos were often just the SID chip and the really cool song that somebody created with the SID chip, and then like a bouncing set of letters, for the cracking group or whatever the group was called, and
cracking. He mentioned that today.
Yeah, me and my friends would collect those things. I got really obsessed with them at a certain point. Me and my friend would record the music to an audio cassette, and we would trade the cassettes, and that was like what I listened to. This was back in like the 6th grade, so I was a big fan of them.
Oh, that's so cool. I don't know how, but I kind of thought you might have been. That's hysterical. That's really hysterical.
But that's Floss Weekly, twit.tv/floss.
Yes,
that's a
great show.
Heck of a show today.
Great show. And then lastly, I want to show this. This is good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Lastly, the freshman hardhead beat his senior hardhead in the track meet last week. So I wanted to give him a shout out. They're currently racing now. That message I got earlier is they ran the 4x100 and won that race.
Oh man, you keep
playing
missing
against
the races.
I'll go after the show. And they're going against Cardinal Newman today.
Oh, the big boys.
They've already won the relay.
Nice.
But the freshman hardhead, I'm quite impressed and proud of him. He had about a 19-foot long jump.
I saw that video too.
100 meters was, I think he ran an 11,100 meters.
Wow.
Which is pretty fast for him. And he ended up getting the super high rating. I think he's like the number.
Nice.
Follow Ant on Twitter, Ant_Pruitt, PRUITT.
Yes, sir.
Well, that
Leo.
Yes.
We had a demonstration earlier in the program that failed, and I was able to track down the rehearsal for that demonstration.
Oh.
So I think we should play the rehearsal of the demonstration that failed earlier today.
This is the demonstration that failed earlier in the day. Oh, yeah. This is when I did this.
Okay. What would you like me to call you? From now on, I'll call you
Okay.
Okay.
It's more fun if you go on longer, but
it is.
Go on longer. Put in more vowels. It's great fun. Yeah. Now I realize I did that once before. Okay.
That's the stuff you do in your free time. So
It's nuts. I got to go home and I got to revamp the Nixie tubes. Apparently, I don't know what I have to do. Looks like that fourth one in is a little confused.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a glitchy.
A little confused about where he should be nixing his tube. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday right after Windows Weekly. That's usually around 2 p.m. Pacific if Lee doesn't get sidetracked with an unboxing. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC. You can watch us stream it live at twit.tv/live. There's audio and video there. If you're watching live, chat with us live. irc.twit.tv. A lot of nice people in there. We also, of course, have a live audio stream in our Discord stage. If you're a member of Club Trit, come on in and join us during our live streams on any shows. Club Twit is $7 a month. You get ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus the Discord. And one thing I wanted to show you, we've thanks to Anthony Nielsen, we've set up a little notifications system. If you go in under the welcome in our Discord to notifications setup, you'll see every show has a notification. You click the icon for the show or shows you want notifications for, and you will get automatically pinged when we start the show. Right now, looks like Twit has the most notifees at 101. But let's see what This Week in Google it has. That's TNW. That's Smart Tech Today. It's a second one, and there it is, 74. That's not bad. Tied with Windows Weekly. So click that if you want to be notified, and you will automatically get a notification. Even if you're not, if you have Discord on your phone and you're not running it, it will, if you've allowed notifications, automatically notify you that we are about to go live. And then you can join us in the Eastside Live studio up on the stage here. YouTube. Yes, we've got a YouTube channel for This Week in Google. You can watch all the shows there. You can also go to our website, twit.tv/twig. You'll find a link to the YouTube site there, plus all the shows. You can download audio or video, plus a couple of buttons for the different podcast players. There are many more than that, but Google and Apple and Pocket Casts and so forth, Stitcher, Slacker, all of those. You can subscribe to any of those, and you'll get the show automatically the minute it's available. After the fact, conversations continue not only in the Discord, but on our forums at www.twit.community and on our Mastodon instance. It's kind of Twitter for the Fediverse, and that is twit.social. Thank you, everybody, for watching This Week in Google. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.